Good afternoon, evening, and good night. It's December 28th, 2023, and definitely not a different date than that. And if you die on this podcast, you die in real life. It's Hey, did you see this one? Where's my goddamn mouse? Hello and welcome to Hey, did you see this one? The horribly affected by technical difficulties. Definitely December 28th, 2023, not January 2nd, 2024 at all. We are on the Gift-Cember. Nope, I'm all mixed up. It's the Guest Miss Fan-Cember finale. We're here.
Nice.
It's almost New Year's.
Don't worry. Well, next year we'll come up with a better name for this month.
It's true, and I won't.
We got some time, guys. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's true. I won't scramble my little inferior brain. So as you can see or hear or whatever is happening when you listen to this, in some point in the future, Cassandra Hodgins is back.
Ooh, I'm back from
Spooky.
the past and the
hell,
future.
From the dead.
From the dead.
I don't know why it's not letting me do. That was your applause.
Thank you.
I was hoping you would find that stock scream that they play 3 times at the beginning of this movie that you've heard in like every single, amateur video / video game / cartoon show / any recording I've ever made that needs a lady scream.
I almost played.
It's really good. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Classic.
This.
Oh,
Cool.
you almost
Nice.
played it that time too.
I
Almost.
played it. Okay, here's what I almost played.
Emotional damage.
Yeah. So, here, ladies and gentlemen, Cass Hodgins.
Hey,
Welcome back.
thanks for having me back.
I think
Always a pleasure.
even though we didn't watch this film together like we normally do the day before, I find that every time you come on, it's we hit the ground face first, and then it's only uphill from here.
Feet first, head last, as they say.
Exactly. So thank you for coming on the show. I would like to thank you for being on as many times as you were this year. I believe this is your 4th or 5th time at this point.
There was like a whole month
4?
you were on. Yeah.
Well,
I think 4.
the reason why I bring this up is because right around the time when the guest situation or the host situation changed. Also, my name is Jason R. Phillips, and my co-host is always Steve Waters. You came on twice in a row, and that's relevant because episode 100 was Tommy, and episode 100 being Tommy relates to what I did today. We now have the first 100 episodes put to audio, so you can go to Spotify, you can go to Anchor FM, you can go to Apple, look up Hey, did you see this one? And you can find us on all social media. It's your call to action. Okay, I need every one of you that's watching right now, all 5, I just lost a viewer,
No.
to go out. It's probably Leon just being like, I can't even this week. These
Well,
people
apparently
are all
they're
over
at the
place.
movies or something. So.
They're at live Chicago. Like,
Oh, okay. So they're just
that's
watching in line while we were
yeah.
trying to get.
They want to give us the old razzle dazzle, so to speak. They also mentioned us on their show, I believe, which thank you. Stick Steps and Puck Traps. What's it?
Maybe you should get the name right.
I will when I get to our next segment here. But yeah, this is your call to action. Go out, subscribe, follow, like, everything. I've put blood, sweat, and tears into making these audio episodes. And we'd like to come here each and every week and do a show for you twice this week.
Did you say you put butt sweat in your tears?
Yeah, I put butt, sweat, and tears into it, folks.
That's a lot. But that's really exciting for the new year. That's going to be crazy once 2024 hits. So
Yeah, once 2024 hits. There's some stuff. I think there might be some problems over in Japan. I don't know.
maybe.
Let's see here.
Got a feeling.
I think one of those fish rose to the top of the ocean in the Japanese sea. The thing that I'd like to do now is each and every week I put up an image. I have people come by and guess. Since Cass is a true sadist, she chose a film that nobody's ever seen or heard of.
That's not true. I have seen it and I am right here.
I saw it in theaters.
Okay.
I'm so jealous.
Well, you guys are biased because Cass picked the show and Steve has seen every single movie in existence. It was hard to get people to guess. And we had the additional time, even though it is only the 28th, we had the additional few days, and I kept putting the picture up and making it more obvious what it was. And I managed to get 3 people. I managed to get 3 people to guess what it is. So this is a section on the show I like to call Fan Guessing Game.
Congratulations! You have successfully guessed the correct answer, which is the answer you provided. Congratulations!
Congratulations! All weekend I was walking around talking like I was a carnival barker at the World's Fair, and it's all because
Even
of that.
look what you've done.
Yeah, it's all because of that audio. So it is real simple this week. 2 people just got it. Their names are Tyler Wolf and Gord McDonald. As usual, the old Gorgon man gets it. Friend of the show, Stu Hayward, got it. He would like to promote his stand-up comedy open mic in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. It's a show up and go up at the Celtic Corner every Tuesday night. Interesting choice of day, Stu, because it is Friday or Thursday today, not Tuesday.
Not Tuesday.
But you can sign up at 8 p.m. You can go up at 8:30 p.m. And the show is aptly named the Show Up and Go Up. People can DM him. His name is Ol Stewie.
That's fun. I love that. We love a comedy moment.
We love a comedy moment on. Hey, did you see this one? And I just wanted to give a shout out to the Josh and Polly show. They're a podcast. It's two dudes just shitting around, talking about this, talking about that. I've listened to a little bit. They gave us a glowing review over on Facebook today. They were talking about our episode. So what had happened, basically, TLDR, is one of the hosts was trying to listen to our newest episode at the time, Castaway, but I am a bonehead and misnumbered and mislabeled. So they ended up listening to the Event Horizon episode, and I ended up causing him to go watch the movie. So...
You
fun.
did?
I did.
How about me and Scott?
Me and you and Scott and Kaylin. And the thing that's great about that is that's a glowing example of why I watch this show even if you haven't seen the movie. Nobody cares about spoilers as much as I do, so I would never. But lots of people just want to hear about people talk about movies they've never seen. So go look at our catalog. I think this is episode 117 or 18. We've got a lot of movies. Can you believe we've been doing this for over 3 years? It's insane.
No. Well, hopefully those guys go check out the actual Castaway episode, because that's a pretty good episode. I like that one.
It's also 3 hours long.
But it's also one of the best.
It's true. It's true.
Who knows? Tonight we may beat the record.
Uh-oh.
I hope not. I'm so
Cass is
excited.
trying to go for a 4-hour speak streak.
That's right. Put me on the record book.
About 100 minutes of movie. Fantastic. So I think we've covered everything at the top of the show. We're only a couple minutes behind, but we're actually a couple minutes ahead because sometimes that first segment takes like 20 minutes when like 60 people get it. Yep, that's right. 60 people are liking, commenting, and subscribing and guessing the movie of the week. With that said, why don't we head right into our history with the film?
A brief history.
It is, of course, a tradition to allow the guest to go first. So, Cass, I've been trying to word that so it doesn't make me sound like a dipshit. So
You could just say to ask the guest to go first.
It's too late, Jason. It's too late.
to tell the guest to go first.
Okay.
I've been
That's
told.
almost worse than allowed.
I know, it's so bad. But Cass, you selected this movie, and as I recall, you selected it, and then I didn't hear from you for like a while, and then I asked you about it to double check, and you're like, oh yeah, Stay Alive, like I had heard of it before. So I expect your history with this movie to be extremely long and drawn out, because what?
What?
The opposite of brief, you mean?
The opposite of brief. Sometimes I ask myself, like, in my day-to-day life, why am I like this? And then I remember that this is one of my favorite movies, and I'm like, oh yes, this is why I'm like this.
This is why every day you get up and you look in the mirror and you say, "Stay alive."
Stay alive.
If I die at work today, I die in real life.
Survive.
Oh wait,
All
I
right.
will die in real life. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I first heard about this movie because my cousin got to go see it in theaters and he loved it and was bragging about it. And I was young, and I think I've told this on the podcast before, but I was like pretty sheltered in what I was allowed to watch. And I managed to convince my parents to let me buy a DVD copy of this at Walmart on a random day. I don't know how I managed it, but I got it. And the first time I sat down to watch it, it was in grade 8. It was the end of the year, end of school year, right before summer. And me and 2 of my best friends at the time, who were dating at the time, decided to sit down and watch it. The whole movie, I was very involved. They were making out on the couch behind me and had
so
no
you're
idea what
Loomis.
was going on.
You're the Loomis in this
Basically,
situation.
I was Loomis. And I don't know. I think it was kind of just one of those things that was my own first, just my own horror movie that I got to experience by myself. After that, I did like a deep dive on Elizabeth Bathory and found out everything about that lore. That's insane. And yeah, I've watched it 1.5 times. Is it good?
We'll
No,
find out
but
today.
I
on, "Hey,
love
did you see
it,
this
so
one?"
it doesn't matter.
We're gonna talk about
It's
it.
my favorite.
We're gonna
But
talk
that is
about
my
it
history.
to a fault. In fact, almost
Always.
too long, and find out whether or not it is in fact a good or awful, terrible.
Listen, we've covered
serviceable
many
horror.
terrible movies on this podcast, and I will say that this one is by far not the worst movie
Oh,
we've
but
ever covered on
I
this.
will say what I learned from letting the guest pick the movie is I don't want to do this ever again.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just
Nice.
I'm just kidding, but I will say that we did 2 Paul Verhovens and an animated Canadian thing, and then this. We had a lot of I had a lot of opinions this month.
Good. Keeps the brain going. You know? It's good for you.
I do like that element of it. With that, Steve, you said you saw it in theaters. What's your brief history?
I don't actually remember who I saw this with in theaters, but I was working at EB Games when this movie came out. So that character that keeps popping up throughout the movie, the weird video game employee, that was essentially me.
I've been that guy too. I get it.
Recording in progress.
Did you not record, Jason?
He's been.
Sorry, I
Listen,
didn't mean to interrupt.
He's having a rough time. He just told you that you picked the worst movie he's ever seen, so he's in a mood.
It's like, keep it off the record.
Yeah. Sorry. It's fine. It's all going onto the internet. We're all good.
This was close to the period where I had also been working at a movie theater. So I was seeing every single movie that came out because I would get passes every week to go see movies. I would get 2 passes. So it would be like me and a friend would go see whatever. And we would just see whatever. Anything that came out, even if we didn't even want to go to the movies, we'd be like, it's hot. Let's go to the air-conditioned theater and watch a movie. And I don't think that this was one of those, but I do, I was a huge video game person. I still am. But I was excited because I was like, ooh, a video game themed horror movie. This should be interesting. Even if it sucks, I'm sure there'll be enough for me to like about it, or at least, at the very least, enough for me to pick its bones clean with criticism, which can be just as fun as watching a good movie. And yeah, I never saw it again after that. It's like I forgot about it. I watched it in theater, and then up until Cass asked to do this movie on the show, I was like, wait a minute. Is that one with like the blood lady and she and then it's a real story but I've seen documentaries about that woman several times throughout my life, like between 2006 and now, and every time I would see one I'd be like, wasn't there a movie where she was a video game? They turned her into a video game.
And everyone's like, Steven, you're insane.
You're crazy.
Like, that
Steven.
can't
They would
be
never
a
ever do
possibility.
that. Yeah. Actually, I just finished playing the Devil Within Me, or one of the Dark Picture games recently, and they did a similar thing where they took a very real story and turned it into a video game, but instead of it being a movie, it's a Dark Picture video game, which is essentially a video game and a movie
I love
at the
that
same
whole
time.
anthology. It's so good.
They are very good.
So good.
We should do a playthrough with all of us live.
I'm
one day.
so down for that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We
so
did
down.
one once. I think we streamed it while we were playing that one time, Jason. Anyway, my brief
Yeah, I got
history is
so
turning
drunk I
into a
had to
long
go to
history.
therapy about drinking after that. Is that your whole history?
You are dropping some darkness this episode, man.
I have a feeling
You need
that
to chill
Jason maybe
out.
didn't like this dude.
Or he just had a bad day at work today after the holidays.
No, I had multiple people say I have to be funnier on this show over the holidays, so I'm gonna be
What?
extra. I'll tell you after the show, Steve.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So big boing.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. Hilarious. Yeah, I'm good. I don't really have a huge brief history. It's just I saw it in theaters and I do remember it, and watching it today, the only stuff that I really recalled was the things that were in the trailer that got me excited to see it to begin with. So it was like I was seeing it for the first time all over again.
That's what I figured. You did mention that you had seen it in theaters, but like you said, you just saw it and then, well, that's that. But the thing is all the three of us are gamers, right? I've been a huge gamer my whole life. I don't remember this coming out, but the concept of dying in the game and dying in real life, there's a couple animes that have done that trope. Namely the first season of Sword Art Online and the first season of a show called Dot Hack. For some reason, like the first seasons of both of those shows were really compelling, and then like they just get out of the thing where you die. And that kind of makes it lame because now it's just a show about an MMO, I guess. But this movie kind of made me harken back to that. The rules are a lot more muddy.
Right.
You're not hooked up to like a thing connected to your brain and then you die in real life. It's like,
Well, I mean, the Matrix is basically a die in the game, you die
Yeah,
in real life.
yeah.
Tron is a die. There's many things have done it. This one just does it to like a weird level where the game is bleeding over into real life, which is kind of the most interesting part of the movie.
Well, I had never heard of this movie, and then in 2006, I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it anyway, because there's a long storied history on this show of like up until probably 10 years ago.
Jason was a fraidy cat.
I was a fraidy cat of the gore and the horror. Now I'm dead inside, and I can handle whatever you throw at me. This was a very easy watch in that respect, but a hard watch for other reasons. But I did watch it all in one sitting because I wanted to give it the honest. I didn't want to give it the old Jason watch it in 3 parts and then pan it. I wanted to stay the course through the whole thing and be like, okay, I'm gonna allow myself to feel good about panning this one.
Okay.
Nice.
That said, there is a competent horror movie in there, and we will talk about that. But before we get to that, we are going to talk about the director of this film.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of Sound. Speed. Action!
This is the segment of the show where we newly added over the last couple months where we talk about the director of the show. Now, I did see the director's name come up. I'm not familiar. Cass, do you have any insight? Do you know anything about this director? I know that you mentioned that you listened to commentary for this, so that's something else I wanted to ask
commentary
you.
many times as well.
I just wanted to ask you really quickly, related to your history. How did you own it on DVD?
I do.
You
Yeah.
still have it?
I do.
And then when you watched it to get ready for this, did you watch it like on your DVD copy or did you watch it on a streaming service?
DVD copy. So I watched it like in full, and then I went back a day or two later and watched the audio commentary again. But I have watched the audio commentary multiple times when I was younger and very hyper focused on this movie.
Because the reason I asked that, I just want to get something straight about this movie and the quality. I got a rip of it because the only place I could find it was Sailing the Seven Seas, unfortunately.
Did you get the director's cut or the
No,
PG-13?
It wasn't. I don't think it was the PG-13 version. It just said DVD rip, and it was the only version available across the whole internet.
Okay.
There was a lot of swearing, so I don't think it was a PG-13.
Exactly. You see his head fully explode, so I don't think.
Okay, so you got the R-rated version or the director's cut.
So back in this day they did the unrated version. So it would be that. The thing I was curious about is, have you ever seen it on streaming?
No.
Because when I tried to watch it on Apple TV, you just couldn't. You couldn't buy it. It was there, but you couldn't.
It
click
doesn't
play.
really exist anywhere. Like I was
Yeah.
also looking online to see if I could stream it, if I could find like other versions or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is like impossible to find.
It's on Google Play for like $5 to rent.
You know what's also crazy is that you would think it would be on Disney Plus because this was distributed by Disney.
Yeah.
It's like their only horror movie that they ever really did distributed.
Yeah.
And no, they're like, that didn't happen.
That's when they were
You can't
trying to
find it.
they were trying to lean hard into gaming back then.
Yeah.
A lot of weird Disney video games came out, so they're like, what about a horror movie that's also a video game that's also not
Disney.
great but good?
Then they were like, how about instead of doing whatever this is, we'll just buy Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah, that
mean,
happened eventually.
Logistically, I think maybe that makes more sense, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure that before they bought Marvel and Star Wars, they were constantly at risk of going out of business for like decades, right?
Maybe.
There's a couple scares in the history of Disney
Yeah.
for sure, but now they just own everything.
Anyway, tell us about William Brent Bell.
I don't know, honestly, like a whole lot. I know this is the first horror movie that he ever did. And then he went on to do The Devil Inside, which I've never seen, but I heard the ratings are mixed. And then he did The Boy. I don't know if you guys know that one. There was like
where there's a
two-parter.
boy in the walls.
Yeah, where there's a
Yeah.
boy in the walls. Exactly. And then he did the Orphan prequel. But
haven't
he's
seen
done
the
like some
prequel, but I have
other
seen the
things as
original
well.
one.
The original is fantastic. I also haven't seen the prequel, but
It's
he is
very-
still working, so that's good.
Yeah, he has a movie coming out, or he had a movie that came out this year.
Lords
Oh,
of
really?
Misrule. This year, this very year that we're currently in,
Yeah.
2023.
Haven't seen it, but
Huh.
he made one.
What's it called?
It's called Lord of Misrule. Looks like a horror. Looks like a religious horror.
Ooh.
All of these
Fancy.
movies look like they could be in the Insidious universe, or what's the other one? Not Insidious. The one with the witch?
Conjuring.
The Conjuring universe.
I
yeah.
love The Conjuring.
Have I ever told you guys before I tried to watch The Conjuring and I fucking watched Insidious and maybe never want to watch any modern horror again?
That's so funny. I think Insidious is not scary at all.
not
I got
very
to like
good either.
that ending scene and I was just dying of laughter.
It's yeah.
They need
Anyway,
to cross that universe over with the Ghostbusters universe, and it'll feel
the
appropriate.
That would be
Ghostbusters
so
come in and
good.
just start busting all the Insidious monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Darth Maul guy with his fingernails.
Cool. I think that's pretty much it for him though. Like he puts out a movie every few years.
Yeah.
They're all kind of like
Well, he also wrote this movie. He didn't just direct it.
Right.
Yeah, he
And-
co-wrote it with a buddy. I can't remember his name. I didn't write it down in my notes.
well,
I'm the
I'll tell you
worst.
what, I'll stall for a second here and not create an IMDb.
His name is
Right.
Matthew Peterman.
Yeah.
That's it.
There it is.
He,
I think they were really good friends at the time too. He also helped write or direct one of them, Devil Inside, and I think The Boy.
And
And then
Were.
after that,
he produced Were.
Well, they apparently
That's it,
they've been trying to get a sequel to this made, and as recent as 2022, they were really trying to get a sequel off the ground to Stay Alive.
I
Which-
would give my money. I don't have much, but I will give it.
Stay
I'll do it.
aliver.
Yeah.
Stay more alive this time.
Or Stayed Alive,
Stayed alive.
or
Maybe
Staying
stay
Alive.
dead. You know.
Staying Alive. It's all Bee Gees for the soundtrack, but like epic horror remixes of it. I don't particularly think a modern version of this would be bad because we're so now steeped in technology anyway that most horror movies have some sort of technological element to them. So having a ghost inside of your video games might be fun again.
Yeah, and have like
And maybe they get it like more right.
yeah.
Like I think like this whole concept of this film is so cool, and it's like maybe you just needed like a first go to be like, what works, what doesn't. Now let's perfect it
I
and
think
make it
what their-
incredible.
I think what their problem was a little bit is this style of video game didn't exist yet and wasn't even really on the horizon. But now we're on the other side of this kind of video game being a trend with
I would argue that that's not
Phantasmagoria or whatever it's
necessarily
called.
true.
Well, I
It's
don't
just
think. Do we have voice activated?
There's that one
Things yet?
that the streamers were all playing, the Phantasmagoria.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
where if
horror
you-
one.
You like
if you
go into a room
scream-
and you're like, "Hey, is there a ghost in here?"
and then it goes, "Hey, did you see this one?"
You can find us on all social media. Hey,
Yeah, well, they've had a few that have come out. Yeah, I didn't necessarily mean the voice activation stuff, but horror video games have been around forever, but cooperative ones were pretty big at that time with like
Left
Left 4
4 Dead,
Dead,
yeah.
and there was one called Hunter the Reckoning that I played with my friends that has this
sounds
very
really
similar vibe to just the graphical style of this game.
like on PlayStation 2 /
It's very
original
PlayStation
Xbox.
2.
Yes, yeah.
Because this game,
Well, I mean-
as we find out at the very end, it's a PlayStation 2 game.
Well, this game also was like, yeah, it wasn't Xbox 360, PS3 era. The graphics even are like, ugh, they don't look great. Even considering it's a movie and they probably could have made them look better. I'm pretty sure this was a stylistic choice.
Yeah. But it does feel real. Like when I watch the video game aspects of this movie, I'm like, I could see myself seeing that on my TV in front of me. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so we're kind of getting into the body of the
Sorry.
episode. So before, it's totally fine. Before we get to that, though, I'm going to play us a little AI synopsis. That's right, you heard it. I fed the synopsis of this into an AI. It's going to be trash. I'm going to rework this as the year goes on, but it's staying in because I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious.
Staying alive.
Staying alive.
Airplot synopsis running down the plot.
Did they steal Dolly's voice?
Video game, discovering it links to real deaths. They must survive the game's curse to live.
Oh my God.
That one kind of ended properly.
That was good. I can't believe they got Dolly. No.
It's a mixture of a bunch, I think.
They sniped her.
The James Hetfield one sounds like, oh my God, Lars Ulrich's going to sue everybody.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
That's true. Also, the thing that you sent me today, Steve,
Not us,
about Way Yonder or whatever, that one that just has a list of all the people it's stolen from.
Yeah.
That's a reason to get away from the AI stuff right there. So maybe that's the last time we hear from our old robot friend. Anyway,
I can pretend to be an AI next time if you need it.
perfect.
Hello, it is I, Cassandra Hodgins. Stay alive.
Stay alive. If you die in the game, you die in real life.
To leave a comment, press 1.
Oh shit. That was actually really good.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're just going to go into the body of the episode. What do you say, pals?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
This is, of course, the main part of the show that you've all come to see. People give us flack for the episodes being too long, but really, if I just cut all that stuff off the beginning, like that's like a half hour gone right there.
What time is it? Oh God.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've gotten ourselves into a bit of a pickle when it comes to the length of this show. That said, this week, luckily the movie's pretty short. What do you guys want to do? I, as usual, have the movie written out pretty much plot point, beat for beat. But if you'd like to go more freeform, we can do that. What would you like to do?
I don't think this one really necessarily needs us to go beat for beat, but maybe we just talk about the chunks because there's lots of
The
chunks.
chunks.
Yeah.
I'll keep us on track with the chunks. First chunk being that basically it's a survival horror game. We get introduced to Milo. How do you say his last name? I've never been able to say it without looking at it.
I'm not sure.
Milo.
I know his name is Milo though.
Ventimiglia Menguglia. Let me see.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was him
Yeah.
Ventimiglia.
because he's cast in shadow the entire time, and the quality of the version of the movie that I watched was not that great.
Fair.
Yeah,
Good old
it's the guy
Loomis.
from Heroes.
This guy
He's
from
also in a
Heroes.
bunch of other shit.
And this is us.
He plays a character named Loomis, which sets a trend for the rest of the characters in this movie to have really fucking
Really
weird
dumb
names.
And
But
his
also-
roommates, Rex and Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah. Okay, that's a normal name.
Sarah, normal. Rex? Okay.
But I mean, everybody else's names are like October, Swink, Hutch,
Hutch,
Swink.
Finn. Oh, Phineas. I love
Hey,
I
him.
guess Miller is, but Miller is not usually a first name; it's a last
Nope.
name.
I think it's extra crazy that the guy who sort of sets this whole thing in motion's name is not just Loomis, it's Loomis Crowley.
Yes, it is.
Who wrote this? Why did you write that down on paper? And why are you so on the nose about everything all the time?
I mean,
They must be.
amateur horror writers often do like they'll just inject things that they like into stuff, and
This
it's
is the
fine to
main
do
character, Pumpkin Blood Horse Rider.
that. No, they'll be like, this is the old Romero house or something, you know, or it'll be like,
Oh,
we got to
yeah.
go down to the old Carpenter Lodge. You know, they'll like inject famous, you know, directors or writers into
This
the
is
work
my
just to be
girlfriend,
like,
Susan Voorhees.
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I feel like there's such like a charm about that too, right? It's like I feel like it was just a group of friends getting together and
Yeah.
being like, let's just make something super silly and fun
Right,
and get
yeah.
the right people on. They took like 25 days for them to shoot the whole thing. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, they were just like, let's all hang out and have fun.
It's interesting that you like this and also Repo the Genetic Opera, one of our best episodes ever
Really?
by the numbers. No, it's one of my favorites. It's one of the ones that and Dread. This is your 5th time on. But
It is the 5th time.
We forgot about Dread.
That and Dread are 2 episodes that I like. If people are like, what should I watch? That and Dread and pretty much like Castaway, anything that Tim's been on. I'm like, these are the ones where it's good stuff. The rest of it, don't bother with.
No, listen, it's on Spotify now.
It's all on Spotify. Go to Spotify. I'll show you this one. And I really think that I forget what I was talking about. So what was I talking about?
Nice. We were talking about this movie was made in 25 days. Very much B-list movie.
Sorry,
Everybody was just hanging out, having fun, made something cool.
It's interesting that you love this movie and Repo because Repo had a lower budget, but they look similar at times. There's special effect, like digital effects that are clearly used in both. Like just making the area outside darker is clearly a digital effect.
Yeah.
The smoke and steam, weird backgrounds and stuff are clearly just like not when they're in the video game either. Like when they're out in the world, it's clearly like bad digital effects, and Repo sort of used this as well. So my theory is that you like campy horror. You like a campier tinge to your horror.
I also love like more true horror as well, but I think it also just stems from me being like a creative person and playing Dungeons and Dragons and being an actor. Like I kind of like the fact that I get to play a little bit of theater of the mind while I'm watching something.
Right.
I don't need it to be high definition. I know what you're doing and I'm in the story with you, whatever that story is.
And there's something charming sometimes about being able to see the seams of the woodwork, you know, like figuring out how they were able to do something without it being like a mind-blowing effect. This is one of the reasons that I still have a hard time with like overly CGI'd things when they look too shiny and nice, where I'm like, I wish it was a puppet.
I always wish it was a puppet.
Also, it's going to look like shit in 10 years and maybe sooner.
Maybe.
You know? And I gotta say, the CGI for like the monsters, even in the real world, don't look that bad. The only thing that looked bad is like I think the first time you see Lady Bathory, she almost looks 2D. But that's why I'm curious about watching this on streaming, because they might have been able to do that thing where it's clear, so it almost brings up the quality a bit. The version that me and Steve watched was just so.
No, I wish we all got to get together so I could have shown you on my DVD copy, because like
the movie doesn't look like shit. It's the fact that we watched a crappy version of it.
Really low quality. Yeah, it looks good, and I actually I don't know if it came across when you guys were watching it, streaming it, but the point of Elizabeth Bathory, like when she is in the real world, especially near like the end of the movie, it's supposed to look like she's not really there. Like it is the illusion. It is this kind of like possession moment. It's not supposed to be like she's right in front of you. It's kind of like a ghost.
And I like that, but my main problem with them doing this throughout the movie, also too many jump scares, but like ineffective.
A lot of jump
They're just like,
they just make me laugh.
Well, it's 2006. This is when they figured out that they could just do a jump scare every 5 seconds, and more people would say it was good at the end. So scary.
That was crazy. It was scary. I was so scared.
Very 2006.
But what bugged me is just to make it spookier. There'd be scenes where there's a part where Hutch is like figuring it out in the office after.
Can we just call him Jim Halpert?
Yeah, after Jim Halpert.
It's Jim. Jim and Pam.
Finds out that he's got 2 Pams in this movie though. One has blonde hair and one has black hair.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, him in the office building after when like for some reason the receptionist or whatever she is still there, and the ghosts are like going around.
That almost felt like she was
background.
possessed or something.
That
like,
did she did, but they didn't. There was no payoff for that. But us seeing like the monsters running around in the background, I thought was so like, who's that for? If they're not going to pay it off.
She wasn't playing the game, so why would she see it?
No, but why are we seeing it and then there's no payoff?
Because somebody played the game in the building, man. The building is haunted, man.
I know it was to show us that they're haunted outside. It was just an ineffective storytelling way to do that. And I think the greater point is it was kind of lazy to not have it.
Well, I wanted to talk about this particular scene a little bit more because there's some weird stuff going on that I'm like, I agree that it is ineffective because I'm confused by it, but there was stuff where I was kind of getting excited where I was like, oh, okay, she's possessed now by Lady Hack You to Death, and she's got a scarf on. Has she had her throat slit and she's hiding it with a scarf? Because like nobody wears a scarf like that and that thick.
No.
So I had all these things going through my head, and then
is her head gonna fall off like a big
Orphan prequel, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it's like I'm setting it up.
That's true. It made me think that maybe that she was going to have to possess people to kill in reality and not just be like a ghost or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not sure that wasn't what they were going to do because you never see her killing anybody for a very long time. So I thought maybe there was going to be a reveal at the end where I think her name was Loretta. I remember that name sticking out to me too, being like, I think Loretta?
It was Matthew Peterson's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, interesting.
Played that role, and he was like, she did such a good job.
I thought maybe she would be running around stabbing people, and then at the end, Jim Halpert would be like, Loretta, what the heck? It's been you the whole time.
It's just been Scooby-Doo. Takes off the mask.
Well, I mean, he did also look like Shaggy.
A little bit.
He looked like Jim Halpert and Shaggy mixed together in the Fly Machine.
Yeah, I think that's also the difference too of saying like the PG-13 version and the like director's cut version or unrated version is that like they did like there's like I don't know 15 minutes of extra stuff. Most of it is just longer shots of the gore and like a little bit more of that, and then a couple of scenes later with like author and creator of the game. Other than that, it's literally the same. But when you do watch the PG-13 rated version, you're like, oh, okay, this actually makes more sense. It's like very much to the point. This is what we're doing. Here we are.
Yeah, but that said,
and that's a theater release too. Was the PG-13 one?
I fucked up and watched the like censored version of Megan, and I still liked that movie a lot. But I think that when it's like a pretty by the numbers horror movie like this film and Megan, it's like you need that extra bit of something to bite into, because this movie like my biggest takeaway, and I'll talk about it in my outro, it's essentially like if Scream didn't have a cool twist or one of those like late 90s early 2000s, but those movies usually have like some sort of twist. I was waiting for a twist like later in the movie where Abigail's like, oh, also all that stuff I told you was a lie.
Lies.
I didn't expect for it to be a total like a total red herring, for her to be like, it's all lies, I live in this van. I thought she's gonna be like, oh, I know the person, I know the developer.
I'm a descendant of Lady Bloodbath.
Or I was sent here to like monitor you so they'd know where you are, so they could send, because I didn't know, they waited a long time for you to really find out it's paranormal. Because there was a point where I was like, oh, it's a serial killer.
Is it a serial killer?
Who's killing them as they die in the game because they're monitoring
That's so funny. Even the first time I watched it, I was like, Ghost for sure. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, me too, because I saw the trailer for the movie.
I didn't watch the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer either, though.
Right,
I was just like, Ghost lady. They're all screwed.
So without seeing the movie, I don't really have a real theory corner this week. You guys might, but my theory corner, they were just happening all through my notes. I didn't take the usual notes that I take where it's like, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. It was like a setup is happening. Will this be the payoff? Nope, that wasn't the payoff. It was more obvious than that. And all my notes are like that. So I give this movie a lot of credit for being a horror movie. How old were you when you saw this originally also?
How old are you in grade 8? 12, 13?
13 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So if I saw this movie, I saw something when I was 12, like Scream or something was out when I was 12.
Well,
I saw
Scream
The
is
Exorcist.
a masterpiece.
But that was too
Oh my
much.
God.
I think
I had a
Idle
today.
Hands maybe I saw when I was way too young, and I was like, nope.
Me and
Oh,
Jason
yeah.
were talking today. I was like, Cass must have been pretty young when they first saw this, because I was, just out of high school.
Yeah.
And so like, I was like, this is my theory. Cass saw this in the 7th or 8th grade, and it like infected their brain so much that they fucking love it. Because that happened to me with like a ton of horror movies in that same pocket.
That was the same thing with me with Repo, right? Like it
Yeah.
was a couple years after that, and I was like, Sponge, just get it all in
Yeah.
here, and it will live there for the
Yeah.
rest of my life.
That's
Yeah,
what
no,
I
don't.
that's
It's
what I
very good.
figured as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
I had the same sort of thought as soon as Steve said it, and I was like, yeah. That's when I was like, oh yeah, Cass definitely loves, like, you were able to watch certain horror stuff at an age where when I was that age, I wouldn't have been able to watch it. I was sticking to superheroes and raunchy comedies is what I would have wanted to watch in grade 8 and grade 9.
This is the age that, like I've said on the show before, I saw The Exorcist when I was in the 7th grade, and it like broke down the doors for being scared of horror, because I was always too scared. And then that was the moment when I was like, okay, I've seen what people have said is the scariest movie ever made, so I think I'm good now to watch other scary movies. And it turns out that was true.
Yeah, I don't know why RoboCop affected me the way it did, but I did watch it when I was 7, so broke my brain a little bit. How about Adam Goldberg in this film? You guys like Adam Goldberg when he pops up?
Well, I
really liked him. I can't help it. I just think he's
just
so charming.
He looks the same age as the rest of them, though.
Oh yeah,
They
It
keep
was good,
calling him
though.
an old man.
I like the fact though that like in this film, and I was watching the audio commentary the other day, but they wanted to make this film for not like the younger people who play video games, because the usual consensus of people who don't play video games is, oh, video games are for kids. And they were like, no, we're going to have like people who are like interning at a law firm, and then like their boss also plays, and they were talking about all these strategies. Like video games do go past just like sitting and playing Mario. I love Mario, no shade. That's just how it is.
I do appreciate that they used actual rhetoric from real games.
It was a little bit better than they usually do with it, but
it also kind of felt like I was being slapped in the face by it. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I appreciated that they did a little bit of research, and they're like, well, let's make sure that we use the correct things, even if we're saying it incompletely or
that
incorrectly.
said, everybody outside of Frankie Muniz, who wasn't any better, he was just able to say it faster because he's got the fast talker shtick. The rest of them sounded so wooden when they were saying the things that even though they were using actual phrases and terms.
How dare you talk about Jimmi Simpson like that in front of me?
Listen, no, Jimmi Simpson's my favorite part of this movie. He understood the assignment completely.
He did.
But
I did not like him.
Jimmi Simpson is great.
I mean, his character is horrible, but I love Jimmi Simpson.
In my notes, I wrote down, it's way grosser to lick a controller than it is to touch a controller after somebody licks it.
At any rate, it just I just like to see these people from this era, and Jimmi Simpson was only really on It's Always Sunny at this point. I think that his next big thing.
I don't even know if it was always. Oh, maybe. I remember the director was talking about how they went to go see another movie for an actress that they wanted in the film, and then they saw the movie. It was called Do Something. Can't remember. And then they saw Jimmy was in it, and they were like, listen, you can have whatever role you want in this film. Like, please be in this film. The actress did not get hired. They were like, he stole every single scene he was in. That's what we need for this movie. And he did it.
Yeah.
It looked like he had fun.
He's a journeyman actor. He was probably like I said, he out of everybody in this movie, him and Frankie Muniz sort of got what they were there to do.
Yeah.
And the actor who played Hutch probably could have been replaced by a myriad of other actors who look like that. Like, it would be
They originally, I think, wanted to hire his brother, and then they were like, no, we'll get John instead of Ben.
The guy from Happy Endings would have played that character well too. That guy that just kind of looks like
John
that guy.
Krasinski.
Or literally John Krasinski.
Exactly. I don't know if he was busy at that time.
Yeah. Every time he sees a dead body, he just does the face.
It looks at the camera.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to talk about that opening sequence a little bit before we get
it's so good.
far from it. It is good. It's a very good opening sequence to a horror movie, even though it has some of the most cliche horror shit that I hate in horror movies. They still
What, two people fucking and then him standing there
yeah,
watching them, like, and
in
them
like their
joking
friend's
around?
house, and like he. But I mean, I think that he was already affected by the weirdness of the game, so his mind's all fucked up. But like the fact that he just stands there watching his buddy, sort of like, are you gonna just watch? Or
Yeah.
also his buddy's wearing
Get
a pig
outta
mask
here.
for some reason. It doesn't make
That's
sense.
weird. That's
That-
weird.
That was like, what is that? What's happening with this pig mask?
I think it was just there to scare us, the audience, not to scare anybody else. Or
Must have been.
he also says it's the sickest sick since Fatal Frame, and I'm like, okay,
It's
all
gonna be
right.
this kind of
That was
movie?
the first like outside of the game reference, and I'm like, how many of these are we gonna get? Are we
Yeah.
gonna get like a million of these, or are we gonna just get a couple?
I will say also, sorry to interrupt, but I have to say it quick or I'll forget. I love the moment where he was talking to Hutch on the phone and Loomis is like, hey, yeah, so we finished this game. You want to come over? Are you going to come over? Are you, you're coming over to hang out? Just like
Please.
terrified. He's like,
Yeah.
please don't leave me alone.
I'm
after
so
I finish
scared.
this."
Yeah.
So good. Sorry, continue.
The language of this age, like early 20 somethings of 2006, is just absurd. It's just absurd.
Yeah.
Like when he's, instead of saying later or bye on the phone, he says late and then
Late.
hangs up the phone. I'm like, what? Did anyone talk this way?
Everybody talks
Yes.
like that.
It's culturally relevant.
Also, Loomis is a pervert, and so are his friends. Never bone in a pig mask, please.
Hmm.
I thought
but
that
it's
that-
Don't
overall.
kink
it's a-
shame, Steven. I don't know. Someone might be into it.
Okay, fine. Sorry
Yeah.
out there, pig people.
Pig weirdos. I thought that the opening sequence really reminded me, and I'm surprised they didn't mention this game because it came out in 2001 and was a sort of a similar vibe. But Eternal Darkness for the GameCube, where as you're playing, it's a horror game, but it's also a psychological horror game where you'll be playing and it'll be like your controller's unplugged.
I have an answer to this.
And
Nobody played that game except for me and you
Okay.
on planet Earth.
At least you know what it is. I want to tell Cass what it is because
Okay.
look at
I'm
their
learning.
face. But it does stuff too where it's like it'll be like it'll freeze and then it'll go back to the main menu and it'll be like your game is erased.
Oh, one of those. I love those.
Yeah,
It's like the early days of Monica.
yeah, exactly. Or that
Like the volume will turn down on your TV, and like,
Oh, I love
but it's just the
that.
game volume turning down, or like it'll do the thing where it like brings up the menu for your GameCube memory card. It'll start deleting every game that you
not
have
even
on
just
there.
your game.
True
it's
horror.
like
I
deletes the
love
whole-
that. That's so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you play it knowing that's the gimmick. I think that first round of people who bought it not knowing are the only people that really got.
Well,
got
I remember
by
when
it.
I bought it. This is pre me working at EB, obviously, but like
It was
they warned me.
2003 or 2004, right?
The guy warned me. He's like, the game will try and fuck with you, but don't worry. Anything that's happening that's weird, it's meant to
It's part
be
of the
that way.
game.
He didn't give me any spoilers, but he's like, just don't come back here like later today and be like, it deleted all my games off my card. It's like it's just a ruse. The game is tricking you.
Fair.
But yeah, the opening sequence definitely did its job as a horror opening, and I do love a good open to any horror movie, especially when it does the job of setting up everything
Really
that is
set it up.
to set up everything that is to come. And the cinematography was quite good.
Little girls
I think-
crawling on the walls.
Yeah, I do think that, the logic of some of the people in the scene was a little bit janky, but what can you expect from an
So-
early 2000s horror movie?
So
That's
since
it-
weird, janky logic.
Since it does happen in the first sequence,
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
they said
my God.
they said the name of the movie, the game in the movie so many times that I was trying to
So
keep
many
track.
times.
And I just stopped writing it down. But I will tell you, the first time they say it, because that is the game, it's at 3 minutes and 42 seconds. And then
Oh,
they-
it's with the narrator. It's like, this will help you stay alive.
so yeah, and then they say it like again at like 20 minutes. But I think they say it when they first get to the coffee shop as well. So like
Yeah.
I just tuned it out after I heard it the first time, and then I was like, oh, they keep saying "Stay Alive," which
Stay
is
alive.
like the
What is this game?
which is
I
like
just
the-
got this new game. It's called looks
Stay
at the
alive.
camera.
Stay
Stay
Alive.
alive.
which is like the opposite of Star Trek Troopers last week. in the same year
I
we're in right
love
now,
Starship.
2023, they would never say we are the Starship. Well, they might say we are the Starship Troopers in the little news thing, but like it's it's like the opposite of that.
Yeah,
Where,
well, there are certain movies where saying the title would just be insane, but a movie like this, where the name of the movie is the name
It's
of
the
the game
game.
in the movie, it's like, yeah, okay, obviously they're gonna say it a couple times.
Gotta do it.
I just wanted to
Or
point,
like Batman,
yeah,
and they just keep saying the Bat.
here comes
It's the
the Batman
Batman.
forever. But no, but most of those, it's only going to be like the first one, or like the Dark Knight ones,
Right.
where they're going to actually say it down the barrel.
But Christopher Nolan, at least he waited until the very last word of the movie to say the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight Rises. Doesn't Michael Caine say it?
No,
I also will say
Gary
in the
Oldman
first,
says it.
Oh,
this
yeah.
first opening bit, before we move on from it, unless anybody else wants to add some fun little notes, the first 7 minutes of this movie is actually what they pitched to have this movie exist. And they basically took their storyboard and they animated it in iMovie. And then
cool.
they pitched it right up until like Loomis's
Getting hanged.
snap.
I was gonna.
And that was their pitch for the entire movie.
I was
And
gonna.
Disney was like, yes.
I mean, it's good. It's really good because it establishes all the rules, which I do like and need rules in
The
horror
rules can
movies.
change.
Rules can
apparently.
change.
The rules
but,
changed in
like,
this movie a few times.
I know, but they at least establish the basic rules before changing them later. It's okay to change the rules, but as long as I understand the rules up until a certain point, I'm
For sure.
okay with it.
Do they
And I think that they
mention-
did a really good job of setting up all the rules.
Do they mention Cass in the commentary? Do they talk about the like game engine, if they rendered it in a game engine that they built, or if they animated it all? Do you know?
It was
Because-
animated, but I know they were talking to like some video game people
Yeah.
that they knew, but like they did all of that kind of on their own, like fully animating everything. Another fun note, actually, before I forget, is this house behind me. It is a replica of Sega's The House of the Dead, which was released in the 90s, but it was all animated. They wanted it to just look animated like a PS2 game. Here we are.
Because that's
in
the
it.
vibe. That's the vibe I got from the game. I got like House
Yeah.
of the Dead vibes.
No mocapping or anything like that. It was-
Resident
Fun fact,
Evil.
House of the Dead, also a movie. Terrible.
Yui Ball.
Terrible movie.
Maybe we'll
Yui
do
Ball.
Yui Ball month and just this
Oh,
this will
God.
make this will be the Citizen Kane.
I might have to Loomis myself if we do that.
Uh-oh. Jesus Christ.
Get away from the balcony, sir.
Actually, I should mention that if you look up Stay Alive, there's a documentary also called Stay Alive about Loomising yourself. So
Oh,
not to bring down the mood.
bring it right down.
How about
Not
that
surprising
Samaire
that they didn't
Armstrong,
render it
though?
in an actual video game engine, because that would be fucking weird and annoying if they had to do that.
Yeah.
I feel
we've
like it
all
also
seen
at that
South
point
Park
would have
episode.
cost way more money to do.
Yeah,
right?
but they could have just taken an existing game engine and like made game sprites and done it.
Then you have to pay them.
You have to pay them, and then also finding a way to shoot in that would be nightmarish as opposed to just animating it.
Yeah,
right?
like make a machinima out of some game, or that.
Yeah.
That's why I wondered if they built something. If a developer actually built like a small world to just film in.
No, they just animated it shittily.
Just animated it poorly. It could have literally.
What do you mean?
looked
It looks
like
beautiful.
Whatever they wanted, and also I was fully expecting. Here's what I actually thought the first twist of the movie was going to be, and was so disappointed. I thought, the episode of Black Mirror Playtest. Have either of you seen that? And it's just real. He's in
I
the
love
game,
that
but
one.
it's just real and shit's happening, and it's all very realistic looking, but still messed up.
I think I love that episode because I love Stanley.
That's just it, right?
All connecting.
I thought that's what was going to happen when he's walking down the hallways. I thought he was going to die in the game, and then it was going to zoom out again to be like he was playing a game inside the game, and then he died in the actual game, which was like a VR thing. But nope, just haunted PS2 disc.
Yeah, I think they just wanted it to be more akin to like what was real and possible at the time in terms of video games.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Which I kind of like better. I feel like VR stuff, and like obviously the budget would have went way up if they had to film things in these types of environments, and that would have been bad for the movie. But I think it's kind of fun. Like I do think it's more fun that it's like kind of janky video game graphics when they're in there, because I'm like, I remember playing stuff that looked like this, and it's not that scary when you're in there, but then the horror is meant to be more spooky when you're outside of it. And
I will
created-
say though,
the
like the
creative
way those
character is
little
like-
girls move, that still messes me up. I'm like, please don't move that way. I don't like it. It's too jerky.
Listen,
you shouldn't
you
Gotta
should
have
both
bend
reboot
that
vibe.
way.
you should both come over and we'll take turns playing my PSVR 2, which is like a better graphics version. And there's a game where you sit in like a what's it called? Like a
chair?
chair, but like you're on like a roller coaster chair, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And you have two guns, and then it's just like the most nightmarish
I
horror
know
that's
this
happening
game.
to. It's in the Dark Pictures universe.
Yes, I do know
it's-
this game.
And it has.
I played it on mushrooms.
And it
Oh.
I do not recommend. I did okay
will
though. I
avoid
did all
the
right.
mushrooms when we play.
And I have to be like drunk to play it because it's mind prison. Same with there's a Walking Dead one as well. That's just you're walking around a city and you're killing zombies, and 2 Resident Evil in VR. And it's just
Ooh.
like I have to almost be wasted to handle it.
Yeah. Don't fall
Fair.
over though.
No.
You'll break something, and that's expensive to replace.
That's
and-
true. How old do you think I am?
I don't know. I always forget
Yeah.
that I'm a baby.
Yeah.
Not even
Old
40.
enough to potentially hurt yourself so bad you need a hip replacement.
Yeah.
I could do that now, and like
Yeah.
I'm 29, so
Yeah.
whoops.
So I guess we can get away from that opening sequence. I just wanted to kind of highlight it because I think it is probably the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah.
And it stays pretty consistently all right and good up until
So like
I
the
think
second half is a little bit.
I think
more-
as soon as the death of the boss and like the sort of shitty interrogation by the cops, that's when it starts to kind of like kind of turn to jello for me. But it tightens up again at the end, and I will get into it as we keep talking. But
Well, do you want to talk about our Home Alone of it all at this point, because it kind of goes into the rest of the movie?
I mean, maybe yours does.
Oh,
Well, I want to know.
I'm intrigued.
Mhm.
We'll go a little bit further. We'll go a little bit further because at this point in the movie, it goes over to Hutch. He finds out that
His best friend is dead.
slash brother slash cousin slash
We're up
foster
together.
I think they're like
After
they're
his-
like foster brothers.
Yeah, because Hutch's family died. His parents died in a fire. He's terrified of fire. And Loomis's family kind of took him in. I think they like lived down the road or something, and they were like, "It's okay. Like we'll adopt you into the family."
It's funny later in the movie realizing that Loomis lived at home, right? Or lived.
Oh, yeah.
Because later they go to that house and they like break
He was
in.
beta testing video games. What do you think he's doing?
True. Where are his parents?
Out of town
They're on vacation.
They're on vacation out of town, or maybe dead.
or home aloneing it? They forgot him.
They forgot
were
him.
like, oh God, sorry, Loomis.
So now his 2 friends just bang in the master bedroom. It's so
Oh, yeah.
weird. You can't think. This is not a movie that to put under the microscope the way that this particular show puts movies under the microscope, because the cracks are forming.
You
already.
must not. Don't look.
Yeah.
But guess,
Keep that grain on that screen. Don't
Do-
look too close.
do you
Have
know
a
what
good
you
time.
are? You're on.
I know who I am, and I am here.
Do you know who you are? I am. Oh man, I said I have a note here that just says, "Okay, what is this fucking movie?"
That's a good note. That's
after-
accurate.
After he finds his friends brutally. Just before we move on from this opening bit too, I thought the movie was going to be way more hardcore based on the scene he opens up the room to, where she's like, I want to see that in better.
Yeah, it's like some-
because
It's
it
like
looks
some
like
Hellraiser shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's
This
like,
movie
I
does
do-
have a Hellraiser vibe.
I will
overall.
say I wish this movie was gorier than it is. I
Okay.
wish that we got more of that, because it was good when it was good.
So when they cut to Hutch, was that New York or Chicago?
New Orleans.
I think they're in New
It's
New
all-
Orleans. Yeah.
Oh, they're Nola.
New Orleans, sorry.
Nola.
I'm so Canadian.
New Orleans.
No.
New Orleans. This was also filmed 11 weeks before Hurricane Katrina.
Oh fuck.
It was one of the last movies to wrap.
We're like Hurricane Tortilla.
Hurricane Tortilla. Stuff.
I have to be funny.
I think about that every
So
day.
do I.
More like Hurricane Tortilla.
Steve's he's weirdly silent, but he also thinks about it every single day.
Oh,
Sticks.
anytime I eat tortillas.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
Yes.
That meme is good.
That's a great meme. It's a great vine.
Yeah. Anytime I think about hurricanes or tortillas, it happens. Sometimes I'll just whisper it to myself.
Yep.
So this is where we
Or
get,
like Hurricane Tortilla.
this is the first time I'm finding out Adam Goldberg's name, Miller Banks.
Miller Banks. He read his lines off of the computer screen because he didn't have time to learn them. So the whole time that he's gaming in the office, he's just reading his lines.
He also is probably
And
my favorite part of the movie.
He did really good.
He also has my favorite line in the movie.
He's probably the biggest star at this point. Maybe Wendell Pierce was on
Frankie Muniz, Sophia Bush.
Yeah, I think Frankie Muniz is probably the biggest star at this point.
Because Malcolm in the Middle was in its like.
It was still on air when this was coming out. Yeah. Sorry, Stephen, what was the line? What was your Miller line?
Oh, it's just when he goes, "Hello, Mumsy," when he walks into like the tomb. Because he's like wilded out on cocaine and he's got a cigarette hanging in his mouth, and I'm like, this guy is.
Told my wife I was working late.
Yeah, but what I love about this character,
he didn't even tell his wife. He got his assistant to tell his wife.
It's true.
What I love about this character is the first time we meet him, he's just like grilling Hutch for ways how to cheat and win and beat Silent Hill 4. And that's when I was like, another one of these like a little on the nose references. And they're using like actual, like I remember that game. They're using
you drop the gun, you go in.
Yeah, they're using actual terminology from the game. And then he's like, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. And then I
never played the Silent Hill games; they're too scary for me.
He's like,
Silent Hill's messed up.
I'll let you have tomorrow off if you just.
I do love the movie though.
If you just tell me how to beat the game, which I thought was a funny thing. Well, we played PT. Which is
PT is messed up.
During the era of like Silent Hill's like crowning achievement of being the scariest games ever made, I was too scared to watch them because I was even too scared to play like GoldenEye because I was scared a guy would sneak up behind me and shoot me. I was like, it's too spooky. I need colors.
Interesting fact about me: I was deathly afraid of horror movies and gore, but any video game I was fine with. I was playing Resident Evil 2.
See, that's confusing.
I was the opposite. Yeah, I was like, I will watch the Let's Plays because I need all the lore, but if you put me in that controller space, I will scream and throw it and everything will break.
I think it's because you're attached to the character, so when you die in the game, you die in
real life. Exactly.
Which is actually what happens when you play the first 4 Silent Hill games.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, PT, I was good at that, but I was only good at that because I was always playing it in a room full of people who were too terrified to touch the controller. So I was like, all right, I can do this. I'm the brave one.
You're so brave, Stephen.
And I would sit down and I would walk us through it, and I'd be like, don't let them see your fear. Don't let them see your fear. Don't let them see your fear.
I remember one night at your old place, there were like 6 or 7 of us sitting around this game, and you were playing it, and I was even like, it's too much for me, because that one changed the game a little bit. I wish they had actually made that game.
What was happening was that I was feeding off of your fear. It was giving me strength. Everyone in the room that was shouting or screaming anytime anything happened, I was getting a little bit more bravery in my bones.
Freddy Krueger?
Spoilers.
Don't tell anybody, bitch.
That's incredible.
So the boss, though, he reminded me so much of a boss that I had when I worked at EB. This guy, we'll call him JJ. That wasn't his name, but we'll call him JJ. And he had the same energy.
It's actually AA.
And he just had the same sort of like weird strung out energy, of like somebody being, and like he was the district manager of the different locations. So he would come in sometimes and he would be like, so how do you beat this part? Like, I don't know how to beat it. And I was like, okay, I can tell you how to beat this part if you really need my help. 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
There's no real anecdote to this story other than that he had
that is a real person.
That he's a real person that exists.
Well, to add on to that, every EB, like my EB at home, I'd go in there and there'd be like the pimple-faced geek guy working the counter, and then
don't talk about me like that. I'm right here, Jason.
Yeah, I also worked at EB. You fucking asshole.
Okay, so I literally had Accutane when I was in high school. So, anyway, I didn't mean to say Anyway, the geeky like video gamer sort of style person.
We
was
know
there,
what
like,
you meant.
yes.
I get it.
I'm over explaining. It's part of my charm. And then the manager would walk over and be all like, "Hey, you selling games?" Like the managers at those kinds of stores did have that energy. So I believe you, Steve, that you had somebody like this in your life. And I was curious, Cass, did you have like a manager who was like this guy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. At EB.
The cool
It
guy.
was it the same guy? Maybe. We'll have to talk about this, Steven. It might have been the same person.
Maybe it was, yeah.
I worked at a call center with a guy like that, where he'd like sit in his giant office while we were all in these like tiny cubicles. Also, I was like 16, and it was definitely a scam. So, but they paid me like $15 an hour in the early when I was 6 in like 2001.
That's bank.
It was crazy. I was
back in the day.
I had to like call and like pitch all this, just clearly a scam. If you got the credit card.
Energy pills for the elderly.
Exactly. Basically.
It makes your bones turn from dust to iron, literal iron bones.
And he had some saying
no
that
returns
he used to say, but I can't remember. It was like it was very like, if you're not selling, what are you doing? Like,
If you ain't selling, you're dying. And if you die in the game, you die in real life.
If you die in this office, you die.
You don't
in
sell
real
this
life.
loyalty card?
You're dying.
That's it.
I don't have to throw in a dumpster over here. I don't know why they all talk. They all have a New York accent, and we're very much in Canada. But
and the movie takes place in Louisiana.
Yeah,
in New Orleans. New Orleans.
Or sorry, New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Hey, what about this funeral where the quirkiest pixie dream
bad.
dream girl shows up? And Samaire,
just taking pictures at a funeral.
Yeah,
that's not weird at all. Totally
what I
fine.
wrote down was classic weirdo hot girl taking photos at a funeral.
Yep. And the audio commentary I was listening to the other day, they were like, can anybody explain this? Yeah, she is just that weird girl that would do that. That is the explanation.
Did she even know anybody? She didn't know anybody at the funeral,
No, she
right?
knew Sarah.
Oh, okay.
Who died. And she was like, oh, I didn't think I'd be taking pictures at her funeral. I thought it would be her wedding.
Right.
Snap, snap.
Yeah.
Hot
with
guy
her,
in the corner.
With her boyfriend,
Snap, snap.
Rex, who's played by a man named Billy Slaughter is his real name.
And he wore the pig
Slaughter.
mask?
Yeah.
It was a kink for sure.
I wonder if he's in
For
jail
sure.
now.
He wrote that. He's in the Twisted Metal TV show. He's still working.
Good for him. I love that.
He's in nothing else I've ever heard.
They just hired him because of his name.
And then they named his character Rex.
Yeah, when he came into the audition, they're like, "There's no character named Billy Slaughter," and he's like, "No, that's my actual name." And they're like, "Holy fuck!"
Cast immediately.
You know when Bill and Ted Face the Music, when they meet their younger selves, like their kids. Remember that?
I haven't seen it yet.
We watched it over.
one time.
We watched
I
it
know.
over stream one time during the pandemic. So
I remember, but I don't
barely
remember the
it.
movie very well.
Anyway, they meet younger versions of themselves, and he played the younger version of Bill.
Oh,
He's
cute.
He doesn't look anything like Keanu Reeves, though, I'll tell you that much.
No, not even close. Casting.
Bill S. Esquire, Theodore S. Preston. I still get them mixed up, actually.
They also introduced a little sister character of Loomis, who
The worst acting I've ever seen in my life.
I assumed that she was going to be in the movie more, right? The way that they like spent so much time with it there. I'm like, and what, like the bag and all that. And like, also, look at you. You're so grown up.
She's like,
Never
yeah,
such a creepy thing to say.
I don't know.
say that.
My parents won't let me play this. Here, my brother's dead.
Yeah.
Bye.
Also,
Like,
here's his lighter.
nailed
I
it.
know you're deathly
Nailed it.
afraid of fire.
Yeah.
But did you notice that the lighter had the PlayStation triangle, circle, square X on it?
It does.
That was for me, Steve. It didn't have the Xbox logo. It had the PlayStation.
Yeah.
We're at constant war, you see, because I'm a PlayStation gamer. and
No, we're not. You
Steve-
just think we are.
No, that
That's
actually
the
was
funny
He
Kayla.
just wants to fight.
No,
It's okay.
That's a callback to Kalen, actually, because he thought that there was an actual legit war between the people. And
I have both. And I love
he's
them.
missed every day. So, getting to the next part of the film, basically the Manic Pixie Dream Girl 2K6 comes in.
We should just call her Fatal Frame.
Fatal Frame.
I didn't even put that
basically.
together till right now that she's literally taking. But they not once in this whole movie does she look down at a picture and there's a ghost in the picture. Which
Not
is
once.
like,
Missed opportunity.
why wouldn't they do that when they're at the tower at the end? That would have been
They probably had it in the script, and then the makers of Fatal Frame was like, "No,
Do not do that.
you can't
We
do
will
this. People are
sue."
gonna think it's a Fatal Frame movie."
They're
Yeah.
like, fine, we're gonna mention you in the movie, and they're like,
Yeah.
I don't care, just don't.
She
do
was
it.
also using a ridiculous camera.
A ridiculous
that
It was
thing was like
crazy.
one of those like ones that has like a periscoping lens that looks like an accordion on it, and you're like, okay, this is like some 1940s
And just like
technology.
mostly pictures of Hutch that look like crime scene photos, just like
Yeah.
zoomed in.
Look at the birdie.
Her
She's got one of those like curtains over while she's taking the picture.
Her first meeting Hutch is the first time I wrote down this dialogue. Holy fuck!
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? What are you saying to each other? And
Nothing yet.
Nothing. And that short silence right there was just.
Well, this is also when we start to get introduced to all the additional characters, and this is when I really started to realize they all have shitty cartoon people names. No one has a normal name.
No one has a normal
Jimmy
name.
Simpson,
Swink.
Sophia Bush.
Swink. Yeah.
Swink.
Is that short for something?
No. Also, did I already
Like
say this?
Swinkleton?
That, Frankie Muniz auditioned for this. I did say that.
He
wanted to be-
auditioned for this.
He read the script and he was like, I need to be in this movie. And he originally was maybe going to play Hutch. And then as they read through it more, he was like, no, like it makes sense. I'm Swink. And they were thinking about like changing up his image at the time, but they were like, Malcolm in the Middle is still on, so we'll keep you as you.
No, what
And
we're
you
gonna
have
do
to go in
instead.
and
This
fire it up.
embarrassing green visor. that
Yeah,
you
we're
have
gonna.
to
You
wear
have to
in
wear
every possible way.
And when you're
And
introduced,
his smelly
you have to be
little gamer
wearing-
glove.
You have to be wearing two visors at the same time when we introduce.
So
you.
good.
And
Yeah,
then
no, he
also,
wanted to do this.
Jimmy Simpson is going to say something homophobic to you about your stinky little.
Absolutely. 2006.
You know,
baby.
I was watching and I was like, it's 2006. They're
It's
probably going to say that
the
at
worst,
least 3 or
yeah.
4 more times in the movie. And you know what? They didn't. They only said it 1 more time in the movie. And I was kind of happy about that.
No,
Yeah.
instead he just sexually harasses Abigail
All the
over
time.
and over and over and over.
Stop, Mama.
I do think that
What's up, Mama?
saying somebody has body
Hi.
karate is pretty great.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Girl has got body karate going
Yeah,
on.
that's a pretty good line. Body karate.
It's good.
It's like he clearly didn't ad lib the lines, but played them off like he was ad libbing the lines, which I guess
Yeah.
I can appreciate. That's why I think he got what this movie was, and the rest of them felt like it was their big break. But Sophia Bush has been in like a million things
Yeah.
now, right?
John Tucker Must Die. Are you joking? Incredible. Also, October is the reason why in the last D&D campaign that I played, my Hunter campaign, I fully made a character based off October. And I had my tarot cards at the table, and it was amazing. And I
That's
lived, honestly, a long time. So
Ugh. My next character is based off December, the month.
the
though.
month, and I'm cold.
And you know what's really messed up though? My current cyberpunk character is named August. So I think I'm just going,
Well,
through the entire
The
year.
entire calendar year.
Yeah.
Actually, my Abyssal is based off of Lady Bloodbath. So
Nice. Oh, I
Yeah.
knew it.
yeah,
Oh,
I didn't want
good
to say
old
anything,
Brent.
but yeah,
It's okay. We'll
clear.
talk. We'll
Yeah.
we'll talk.
We'll talk about it later.
I'll
I'll be right back. I just have to go to the bathroom.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. I'm just gonna run down some film here.
Yeah, do it.
We kind of mentioned this already, but when he's handed the lighter, Hutch gets a flashback and it's like, whoa, why is that on fire? And then it's not that deep. I immediately was like, oh, he's afraid of fire.
Yeah.
They use that.
Finn's like, sorry, man. You're
They-
my best friend, but I have no care for your boundaries whatsoever.
They use
Like,
that
okay.
shot a few times for different for different moments. Like that shot of the fire going across the floor is actually from the end of the movie when she's lit on
Yeah.
fire. So
They do that a lot, actually, with a lot of little flashes.
where
very
it's
cool.
just
Foreshadowing or using the same shot and making it make sense.
yeah. So here's the thing. I was hoping this wouldn't happen. My computer with my notes died. So I'm gonna.
I can send you my copy.
No, it's cool. I'm just. I didn't think Steve was gonna be gone at this exact second.
That's okay.
So
I
what
can help you out. I've seen this like 50,000 times.
What
What's up?
happens next? I'm gonna get my charger.
Oh, okay. After that, we've got all of them hanging out. We've got the whole scene of licking a controller and passing it
Oh,
off.
this is when they're at
They
the apartment,
actually
yeah.
get the game. Phineas is like, wow, we got a bootleg crazy copy of an underground game. We have to play it. This is super illegal and I'm down. Let's boot it up for Loomis.
Yeah.
Super inappropriate and not okay to do, but sure. Everybody gets together on a big couch with like helicopter
Some of them are on the
headphones.
floor. Yeah, they
And-
are wearing the kind of headphones you would wear in a helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
For
beautiful, and it feels like I don't know, early 20s dude's room. Like there's like a big
Yeah.
futon that has been sat in way too many times, giant picture on the back wall that's like a giant poster, and
Or like a
everybody's
video
just
game, I
crowded around.
assume. It looks like some sort of. It's called Beam. I think it
guess.
was called Beam Man or something like that, or Man Beam.
Something like that. Like
It was
it's
something silly.
and then there's like no other furniture, like big futon, poster, TV.
Yeah. Well,
That's all you need.
they also
That's it.
established before everybody comes over that he's like clearly not.
He's
wealthy.
washing
He's
his plastic cups.
cups. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like not plastic cups that you would give a child, but like the kind that you get
Solo
for a
cups.
party.
Yeah.
The
Well,
kind
he's
that
an
if-
intern at a law firm. Okay, he doesn't maybe make money yet.
But
He's
he
just
has
the
this
unpaid intern.
giant ass fucking apartment. Ugh.
I don't
I
under-
guess it's New Orleans,
No,
Nola,
that's how-
baby.
not New York
Before
City.
Katrina, so maybe
Yeah.
that makes sense. I don't know what the economics were like at the time. But
I
we
did
get
wanna say
everybody. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that like I consider myself a pretty affluent gamer, a person who's been video gaming my entire life, a person who would gladly consider myself one of these people that are portrayed in this movie.
Steve has looked at me and
But-
said, I'm very good at video games, so don't even try to play it off like that.
Play it off like what? I'm literally confirming the fact that I am very good at video games.
You
right
are
now.
good at video games. Good job.
And I've never ever spoken to my group of friends in the way that these people speak to each other, like video games is a religion, you know? It's like it's crazy. They have
Insane.
like their own weird language that they speak. They get horny for stuff like
So
like-
fast.
yeah,
That's
it's
mostly
crazy.
Phineas.
It's crazy. It's absolutely
J-
crazy.
Finn is like, this game isn't out and potentially from like the dark web or whatever, like on the underground.
He's like, this is very much illegal, and I
he
want to play
gets-
it
yeah,
right
and he gets
now.
an erection. Like that's
Yep.
Then she calls him a boner, which I thought was funny. But there was a question I wanted to ask you guys since we all do play video games. But maybe I should ask it later on because it makes more sense later on. But there's a point later on where Frankie Muniz is playing the game and
So
the other
good.
guy is in real life, and they're both affecting each other's experience.
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask if you had to choose one person to
I
be
would
the
be
person
playing the
controlling.
video game.
But I mean, if you had to choose someone to play the video game for you, is what I mean. Like you're in real life, and you had to choose someone to play
Oh.
for you, because that person
It
is
would be Chad. It would be my
Chad?
partner.
Okay,
Chad
makes
would
sense.
know. He would already have been playing the game for forever, and he's like, "Here are all the secrets. I know all the lore. I've been
I
listening
certainly
to
hope he had been
podcasts."
playing forever. That means he would have never died. 'Cause
No,
then
he
he'd
would be
dead in real
really
life.
good at the game,
Okay.
and I would be out there being like, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah. Is there a crowbar in front of you? And you're like, no. And then he's like, how about now? And there's like a pile of them. You're like,
Yes.
where did you find all those crowbars? He's like, I just looked for them.
Yeah, I dropped him down.
Right.
Press the drop button. Duh.
Jason, do you have someone you would pick?
myself for both.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, then Jason's clearly going to get killed by Lady Blood.
No, like,
Immediately
Honestly,
dead.
probably you, Steve, because aside from myself, you're the only other person that's as good as video games. Maybe Durak, you know, maybe like my buddy
That's
Stu.
my answer would be Durak, probably.
Probably
Durak.
for me,
Durak is
Stu.
very good at staying alive in video games.
My friend
Like,
Stu is like the same. He's the same guy as Durak is too, in that he's always the like equal. He's always better at the game. I'm better at like racing games, and he's better at like staying alive in like an action game. You know what I mean?
So
I
what
mean,
we're
the name
saying
of the
is
game
we
is
would
Stay
all
Alive, so,
die
yeah.
if we played this right now.
Yeah.
We're all goners for
We're all,
sure.
we're all dead. Leon's back. Probably just on intermission, but hello.
Aw, I hope the show's good.
I hope
Love
it's
Chicago.
I hope it's great. Chicago is a fantastic.
Chicago.
I,
know that
Shawshank
jazz.
Redemption.
I saw Chicago at the what's that place that has the film the musical fest out in, where's that place? Where's that place? We saw Spamalot this summer there as well.
Oh, like a playhouse?
Yeah, but it's like the town is like a small town. It's about
It's not Drayton.
no, it's like an hour away, and it's you take a bus there and get a bus there and back.
Shaw?
What is that?
Stratford?
Stratford, yeah. We saw
Hey.
Chicago at Stratford.
That one.
And it was like a comedy version of Chicago instead of it, because we came home and watched Chicago, and it was like, wow, that wasn't
That's just because it's a movie version. I do like the movie version, but like Chicago is supposed to be a little bit camp. It has to be.
Like the actors were very much like looking at the audience and winking for a lot of it.
Fun.
And it was funny.
Funny.
I had another question. I can't remember what it was.
Well,
Who
okay.
would you choose to play this game for you if they had to affect your life in the mission to kill the witch? I would pick Dirac. Jason, you said you'd pick me or Stu, and Cass would pick Chad. I almost called you Chas again.
Chas. Just like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's one of those things where I try to say one of your names first, but then I just can't decide which one to say, and then it just comes out as Chas.
Comes out as that.
That is A-okay by me.
No,
I don't mind.
Leon in the chat mentioned that Justin Bieber is from Stratford, and
that is true.
I went into this. I
know people who knew him when he was a young boy.
I went into this bar and jokingly asked the bartender, I was like, hey, do you probably get this asked all the time, and you know Justin Bieber? He's like, actually, yes, he's kind of a dick.
That's also what I heard.
When we were kids, there was like a skate park, and he would come there and just be a terror because he was already like pretty famous at a very young age. So
yeah, but that'll happen to you. Like, yeah, hopefully he's grown and like is living life.
And the way that I may have seen his dad, because apparently his dad is just like are still around.
My dad played golf with his dad.
Yeah, like he's just a guy.
Ooh.
He didn't know that it was his dad. He was with two of his friends, and there was a one spot open, and this one random guy was like, hey, I was just hoping that I could just join a 3-person game. Can I join? And then they said, yeah. He played, and then halfway through their game, he's like, yeah, so what does your kid do? What does your kid do? And then it finally got to him, and he's like, my kid is Justin Bieber. It's like, what the fuck?
Kind of don't you lead with that? But
yeah,
imagine he was just sweating the whole time. Yeah. Like he's like that question.
I hope they don't ask me. Oh god.
Oh god.
Because I think he's like estranged or like somewhat estranged.
I think so.
I think he was split up from the mom, and when Justin Bieber got famous, he tried to like.
Yeah, my dad told me this long story that he told him while they were golfing, and I started to fade out during the story, and I was like, Dad, were you this bored when he was telling you this? Because this is a boring story. And my dad said yes.
That's funny.
Yes, I was.
And Leon, this movie is not as terrifying as the posters. I thought it was going to be some Hellraiser shit. In 2006, the special effects for gore were like pretty peak because it was still practical and CGI mixed together. But they don't really show it. They are usually cut away. I've noticed that about horror.
I think this movie was banking on ambience than it was on gore. And gore does not equal scary to a lot of people as well. So
and they just cut away from everything.
Yeah. Look at you, so grown up is creepy. Oh, where are we here? I don't.
Oh well, did we read the prayer yet?
Oh, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. This is where I was like, oh, this is the Evil Dead. They're doing the Evil Dead thing, but in video game form, and this is very cool. And this would, if this was a mechanic in a video game, kind of creep me out a little bit with doing it.
Listen, when they start the game, you only see like one person pick up a controller at first, but then they all pick up controllers, and then they're also playing online with Miller. And my head, I like short-circuited because of how wrong that is. I get it, it's a movie.
Well, they established that they have multiple consoles and screens, and it depends on the multiplayer cap, I guess.
But my brain was going like, survival horror games at this time weren't really multiplayer.
Yeah, but I was playing Halo, on LAN when I was in 2002, 2003, before Xbox Live even came out. We would do LANs where we would have a bunch of Xboxes, a bunch of TVs in the same room, and we would all be connected.
Okay, that's fair. I guess this was that very beginning of it then, because I don't know. I think I was just getting irrationally angry because I just was a video game person. Like right around this time, Frankie Muniz tries to appeal to Jimmi Simpson, and he's like, hey, I know a code to have their clothes fall off, and then it's just the Konami code, and I was like, oh, Steve's frozen. I thought he was.
Steven, no.
Everything that's gonna go
Bathory
wrong
got him.
is gonna go
We're
wrong.
screwed.
It's like that play. Everything.
Come to me, clouds. May they rise like an evil storm, born to rip them open. Ghost in the background.
Oh.
Now he's gone.
Okay.
Bye, Steven. It was
Everything
nice knowing you.
that goes wrong. He died in the podcast, so he died in
He
real life.
died in real life. No, I have to make some calls.
Yeah, make sure he's not actually dead. No, he'll be right back. He probably just had a thing where his internet exploded because, like, I
We're
didn't
just
charge.
too cool.
Like, I didn't charge my computer with my notes on it. He didn't reset his internet before we started. Just like how I didn't hit record, and just how like it's it's only 9:30. Okay, I was expecting to look at the clock, and it's like, oh, it's 10 to 10. Okay, well, let's take this thing home. At any rate, this is where they read the prayer.
So good. I also like that it's Abigail who's like, what if, like, I don't game, but like, what if you read it? And everyone's like, haha, you're dumb. And then they read it and they're like, oh, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe you can stay and hang out with us.
Yeah, and Frankie Muniz, Swink's like, really? That's next gen technology.
Yeah, we're not even
Ridiculous.
close. Yeah.
They, I will point out that they don't have any microphones around. I guess they have headsets on.
No, they have the little.
Yeah, I guess they have headsets on.
And the only reason they have those on is because Miller's in the office.
Right.
So.
I'm irrationally angry about this whole sequence. This is kind of where I was like...
It's my favorite sequence, but go on.
Well,
it's fine. We can talk about it.
The Konami code bit...
It's a safe space.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The Konami code bit, I literally sent a picture of my face to the chat, to our chat, me, you, and Steve, because I needed you to see, because my face went that way, and I was like, I'm gonna take a picture of this so I can document how hurt I am that they'd use the Konami code in this way. And it only hurts because the Konami code is like it's basically just in Konami games from the 1980s. You put in this code, you get some lives. It started with the game Gradius, but was popularized by the game Contra. And if you know anything about these games, they're Nintendo games. They're stupid hard, and the only way a lot of people could beat the game was by using this code. So the fact that they made some dumb off-color joke about getting the in-game sprites naked with the Konami code just made me, I don't know, it made me annoyed and mad.
Okay, I need you to go back in time before 2023.
Okay.
That we're in right now.
Yeah.
Go back in time to 2006.
Okay.
And we've got a whole different society where like things are funny, but they're actually not, but they're funny and like people are just laughing at it.
Okay. I'm back.
Would you laugh if you were in a fucking theater with a bunch of people and you were like,
yeah, I would have laughed.
This is what I'm saying. We're too far in the future now. It doesn't land the same way.
It's true,
and it
you're
won't
right.
ever again. Like that, it has to be only in that time that it worked. If they did it now, not okay.
It's true, and you're right.
I know.
Think that I
Sorry.
I think that I was being too critical.
No, I love your criticalness, but this is how we get to talk about it.
Noel in the chat suspects that it's your magnetic energy that's blowing up the technology. So
Probably.
So
Thanks.
So, Jesus Christ. But they also say that the mid-aughts were a godless time. So you're right. You know, if I was
it was
in
a weird
theater,
time.
If I was in a theater, especially, and that happened, I'd laugh. I think at that age, in 2006, I was, like 21. So not only would I have...
Oh my God, I'm a baby.
Yeah, not only would I have laughed,
Okay.
but I also would have been like, I understand that reference, and all the rest of the day I'd be like, I understood that reference, and my friends would be like, can you...
And it's not an inconceivable idea for people to... Wait, are you guys still there?
Hey.
Did you write down what you were saying so you were able to do that? Because that was funny.
That's good.
Listen,
Definitely not planned.
Listen, Leon, I'm about to watch the new Ted TV show, which I'm sure is going to have some off-color stuff in it. They said we thought Ted was funny, so we did. I thought Ted and Ted 2 both were great at the time. I don't know if they hold up. I did see a clip from it recently, and I did laugh. it was the scene where Marky Mark's talking to his boss. I don't even remember what it is now, but anyway.
Yeah, I have a new podcast coming out. It's called TED Talks, and we just talk about TED and also TED Talks at the same time.
Nice.
It's gonna be
If they make
informative.
if they somehow make 2 more Ted movies with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, we have to do a month called TED Talks, and then just do all the Ted movies, and then
Or we could find 2 other movies that have main characters named Ted.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
And bring all my fun facts.
There's 2 right
if
there.
You need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun facts?
I have some fun facts.
I like fun
Wait,
facts.
hold on.
I need to make a sting, or Steve specifically needs to make a sting specifically for your fun facts.
Oh, I don't have that many fun facts. I've gone through
Well,
them.
this has
but
been.
I will
Who did you see
say,
this one for this week?
we were talking about the plantation that they used to film this. Very cool in Louisiana. It was also used for The Last Exorcism, which also has terrible ratings, but I really love that movie. And it's one of my favorite exorcism movies because the main girl in it reminds me of a girl that I went to high school with, and like they look the same. So
yeah,
very cool. And I have fun facts about Elizabeth Bathory herself. Cause...
You guys were discussing, I think, in the chat or before we started, that potentially this plantation is the one from Red Dead Redemption.
So I was trying to figure out what plantation has that road that has
through the trees,
those particular trees.
Yeah.
And the plantation they used for the movie does not have a road that leads up to it with those trees.
But I know the one you're talking about in Red Dead.
Yeah, because it's the Braithwaite Manor, y'all, where all the horrible racists live.
Yeah. Plantations.
And
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't find the exact location where they shot on this road, and I had gone through like a list because I know a few. And I was looking at like the dark hedges in Ireland. I'm like, this looks a lot like those. And then I looked it up and I was like, no, they're not the same. So I couldn't find it, but I'm sure it's in one of the shooting locations. I just couldn't. I also didn't look that hard. So, I sometimes I'll get really, really obsessed with trying to find. Remember we were looking for that tower that one time, like during an episode, and I was like, I'll find the tower during the episode. I was like,
was it the tower from Stay Tuned?
No, it was one of the Jackie Chan movies.
Oh yes, it was in
The Police Story. Was it Police Story? No, I can't remember.
No, we didn't do Police Story. We did Rumble in the Bronx.
Rumble in the Bronx. That's it. And I found it during the episode. It was great. It was one of my proudest moments on the pod.
Maybe it'll happen tonight, Steven.
Hopefully.
No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it.
Okay.
So they're all playing.
And Leon in the
games.
chat doesn't have enough
Yes.
computer to do the man in the chair thing and search it up for us.
Oh.
It's okay. You're forgiven.
This time. So how about in this scene, Swink just being afraid to play the video game they're playing, which I thought was weird.
That would be me. If I was in a room full of people and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I would love to play this game, and then it's voice activated with a seance, I'd be like, maybe don't invite that into my home.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the Evil Dead factor. I'm like, this
wonder if-
seems like, Professor Nobi from the Evil Dead series would be like, whatever you do not
Don't read
from the book. Yeah. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. But they do.
It would have been an interesting twist if like one person was like, I didn't say it with you guys. And they're just like...
They were just miming it,
Yeah,
like lip-syncing it.
So they don't get haunted.
If you go back and watch it later, you see that they didn't say anything during that part.
Well,
they
again,
would
they're
let it.
all
That's
playing
great.
on their own individual game.
Okay.
So if
Yeah.
they didn't say it, then their game wouldn't have loaded. That's
true.
how you enter the game.
It's the only way to get to the main menu and make your character.
But also, what's her name? Fatal Frame.
Yes, Abigail.
Abigail.
She's like, maybe you have to read that passage, and everyone's like,
Oh.
that shit doesn't exist, you stupid fuck. And she's like, okay.
I love that you were gone for 2 seconds and we have discussed this. I'm so sorry, Steve.
It's so rude. But then she's right.
She is
And then-
right.
She is right.
And then she has this like shit-eating grin on her face, and I'm like, is she evil? Did she design this game? Because and then later on when
That's
you get
fair.
those weird sort of those red herrings and stuff, she's
always the one to question it. She's like, but what if
it
you
seems
do
like she
that?
knows more.
What if you look in the closet?
Yeah,
What if
exactly,
you
yeah.
drop a rose? What if
It's
you
like-
do
That's why I
something?
thought
Yeah.
the twist later was going to be not that she's just homeless.
No, she's just
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm
That's
supporting your theory right now.
Thank you.
So I'm sitting here thinking It reminds me when you're playing a co-op game with somebody who's already played it, and they're like, "Oh, maybe you should go look over there,"
Like
and
trying to
you're
help
like,
you out a little
you're like,
bit.
"I already know you played this. Stop trying to trick me."
Yeah.
I'm also
I'll
guilty
find it
of
myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to dwell too much on this because it's like we are just going through the whole plot, but it is funny
Oh
that
God, I'm so sorry. So
it's
good.
not it's perfectly fine. You know what?
I don't think we're going through the whole plot. This scene is so thick with weird
with
shit
weird
to talk
shit,
about.
like the moment where they start playing the game, and then there's like a weird time jump of about an hour, and they're all just
And they're like
Yeah.
in
super
it, and all
into
the
it.
like girls are like diving over the raised graves that are
Yeah.
in New Orleans,
Finn
and they're
has
like,
taken his shirt off.
yeah,
He's
Yeah,
all
sweating.
he's sweating. He's on his knees. He's way closer to the screen than anybody else. And
He
like,
got the mission. Like he knew the character. He was like, "This is me, sweating."
but he also, I'm like, they've been playing for an hour and no one died yet. Interesting. They all
They're
must be very
good.
good at video games.
The
Yeah,
only thing that makes me question that is how did Abigail not die?
exactly. She's
games
never played a
before.
fucking video game yet. She has a controller in her hand.
This must be maybe Stay Alive 2 was about Abigail's story.
Oh, and how she's a secret game developer, and that's why all the games get released at the end. She's actually like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's an unsolved mystery.
They could combine the sequel to Megan and the sequel to this, and just have it like the computer. The new Megan device has the Stay Alive protocol.
Ghost inside of
Why
it.
not?
Yeah.
Crossover. I love it.
One thing I do have to say about the acting in this sequence, I understand that watching people play video games is not very exciting, so they had to have them do all kind of weird stuff to make it more cinematic. But
I'll tell you what,
all of them continuously keep looking at their controllers like they've never used a controller before. And I'm like,
I don't know why.
Why would you ever take your eyes away from the screen?
Steven, I will say I have had to do like random like commercial calls or whatever where I'm like gaming, and I have to fight myself while I'm doing a self-tape to be like, don't look, you know what this is. You're just playing a game. And I'm like,
But
what is it? I don't know. I need
like,
to tell you that I am playing a game.
Yeah.
It's a weird
Acting.
actor thing. I don't know.
I do.
It's hard to fight.
I use my Nintendo Switch Pro controller so infrequently that the buttons are switched, and I sometimes have to look down at it. So maybe I'm not a very good gamer.
No, it's okay. I get confused all the time.
But I mean, even like I don't have a
and I'm like,
PlayStation, but I do know where all the PlayStation images are because they're images, right?
Yeah,
They're not.
But it's the Xbox and PlayStation's layout and menus controls are typically the same because it's different. It's more like Nintendo in Japan, but in North America they've switched the X and the circle. So it's the same as Xbox. Anyway, that's a little deep dive into fucking controllers.
Good thing Stay Alive wasn't on Nintendo Switch.
Also, I've got it's a little bit scratched, but I've got my Game Boy mug. Oh God, you can't see it.
That's awesome.
Oh, nice. I also have a Game Boy mug, but I'm not using it right now.
I thought it was like an abstract Spider-Man face until you turned it a little bit, and that I can see the multiple Game Boys now.
She's there.
Mine is like the classic gray, but the screen
Game Boy is a girl.
when it turns hot, it shows Mario jumping over a block on it.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
So the boss gets killed, and now he's haunted.
Yeah. Okay. Also, we have these crazy cops coming into the situation who are bad at their jobs, but maybe good at their jobs because Hutch was there talking to Loomis hours before he died, gaming, talking to Miller hours before he died, gaming. And they're like, this guy is suspicious.
This guy's a murderer.
Also came from a broken home. Maybe he's like cracked. I don't know.
I mean, technically his home wasn't broken.
Ghosts.
It was burned to the ground.
Broken home as in his parents died is what I meant.
Well,
in a fire.
I'll spoil it right now. Here's how it actually happened. The dad was a shitty dad, and the mom, he comes in and he ding, 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 and then burns up the
really
whole house.
messed up. I mean, clearly there was something else going on with the dad because like it turns out the mom wasn't being promiscuous. He was just like insane.
He was just insane, yeah. Which is like in a horror movie where there's already paranormal stuff, that could also be some paranormal stuff going on, but they're just like, nah, there's no ghosts involved with that. It's just this bathroom.
We just need him to be afraid at the end of the movie, and we need a way to do that. Here you go.
So at the very end of the scene where they're playing video games, I know I'm kind of jumping back a little bit, but they say, but I just found the the combination of code, or the code combination to make all the concubine zombies have no clothes on. And so they do it, and he's like, boobs. But my first thought was, pretty sure I've been watching these guys play this game for a while, and all those zombie
Try again.
concubines
Nice.
are children.
Yes.
I was
Yeah, they're
like,
all
this
babies.
is kind of weird.
They're all little serving girls.
And also, if it was just the Countess Bathory, that probably just enraged her further.
Right.
If the
Yeah.
clothes of
That's true.
the Countess just came off,
oh,
right.
she'd be
she'd
mad.
be pissed.
Yeah.
Be like, don't look at
low-key-
me.
Maybe low
But then she does take her clothes off later at the end,
That's
and
true.
they just like,
That's different. But like that's like her being like,
I'm
"Ooh,
gonna
look at
bathe
me,
in
I'm
your
so
blood."
young and beautiful. And
Yeah.
you know, it would have been great though. Instead of her just disrobing normally, she like put a hand out and a game controller appeared, and she put the code in, and her clothes just disappeared.
Stay Alive 2. Listen,
Stay
we
Alive
got to
2.
talk to these people.
I think
We'll make it
I
happen.
think Steve Waters needs to write Stay Alive 2 with the co-writers Jason Voorhees and
Stephen
Cassandra Romero.
Yeah.
That's me. what they
Stephen
call me.
Michael Myers. I don't know why his middle name's Michael, but it's his
Must be.
nickname. So during this whole like first crime scene moment, we get introduced to Wendell Pierce, who's Detective Thibodeau, which they never say in the movie.
I think it's Thibodeau?
Or Thibodeau.
Thibodeau?
yeah.
He's a big guy in New Orleans. He's like big actor, but also like basically mayor of New Orleans. Like
Yeah,
they love him.
He's the other Simon Gregg, the guy that made The Wire, made the
Yeah.
Louisiana show Treme, which he's all over. He's one of the main characters of Treme, and he's great in that. I think he's better in Treme than he is in The Wire, honestly, because Treme has a totally different vibe. It's more about like just people existing after Hurricane Katrina, also known as Hurricane Tortilla, and Tortilla.
Sorry.
But that's okay. The best part about this though is when Hutch is sitting down. First of all, I don't know why this guy's at a live crime scene and allowed to get so close to the body, but he looks over.
They were low on cops that day. They were like, it's fine. I'm not gonna fight him.
We hear there's a hurricane coming.
He fully notices that he was killed in the same way that he was killed in the game, but then they take like 20 minutes for them to finally be like him to say anything about it. I feel like
Yeah.
There's a bit of a time leap, and they like, they pull him away, and he's like, I just talked to him like a couple hours ago, and they're like, a couple hours.
Where were you though?
All right. Come over here. Here's some water. Now tell us what you know
Does
about
this scene behind me
murder
look
scene.
familiar?
Yeah.
Murder.
I mean, it does technically look familiar, but not in the
You
sense
don't
that you
understand.
think. Listen, Copper.
It's from a video game.
Yeah,
It's from a video game called Stay
and
Alive.
they all get mad
They're
at
like-
him.
What? Yeah.
Insane.
Well, I mean, this is also one of those scenes where they have the scum cop that acts in a way that no cop would ever act. Like,
No.
not. I mean, maybe a
2006.
maybe like a patrol officer would, like, some puffed chest up like dildo in a patrol car would, but not a detective who is in the middle of an active crime scene.
Right.
Like, they wouldn't immediately start prodding this guy and saying like, hey, it looks like maybe you killed him, like in front of a
it
bunch
looks
of-
like
that would
maybe
never
you were at
happen.
the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh, you only live
okay,
10
we
minutes
did
away,
not
huh?
Talk about that.
That's
at all.
almost within stabbing distance.
You throw it right.
Right before that scene too, before they actually get the cop being like, yeah, right, this kid thinks this is happening, because that doesn't actually happen until after Finn dies. And what happens is they go back, and Finn's opened the game back up, and he goes and looks at the boss dead, and then he starts just acting like a dickhead about it to everybody, and then they all like grumble and leave. And then I thought it was funny that he only apologized to his sister after everybody leaves the room, and then that's when I wrote down he's definitely dying next. And guess what?
He died.
He
next.
definitely dies next, because they really pushed that, like, the loudmouth guy in horror movies always gets fucking brutally murdered because he's a loudmouth and people want to see him die.
But we also get like the typical baloney, like they're putting it together sequence that we have in every horror movie where they're like, wait a minute, are you guys thinking what I'm thinking?
I also really like the fact that Hutch brings up like this whole theory, and then October starts talking about the theory, and he's like, "Shut up, you're dumb. That's insane. What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You literally were just saying the exact same thing." But
Yeah,
okay, that's
that's
fine.
insane. But then they all say it's insane, except for Frankie Muniz, except when they start to believe what he's saying. And then he's like, wait, you guys can't trust me. I'm stupid. I'm just a crazy person.
It's
So
like
they all kind of are like, everybody calls each other dumb, but the only person who doesn't get called dumb is him. And then he calls himself dumb,
another
which
really
I thought was kind of funny.
another really silly
It's very
thing.
like little brother vibe where he's like, "I have knowledge. No, maybe I don't. Don't listen to me. I'm crazy."
It's also wild that he's probably actually the same age as all of them, but he looks like he's 12 with a little
Frankie
patch of hair on
Muniz,
his
Cody
chin.
Banks, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's Asian Cody Banks. It's a really silly scene too when they're out on the balcony and we finally get him. Hutch he explains the fire thing, and
Yeah.
then October says to Abigail this line. I don't know anything about you except for you can't control your bladder and your dog shit at video games, which
Yeah.
is a reference to
Can't
her
game for shit.
just going to the bathroom earlier in the movie. Just
She had to pee.
and we got the stupidest meet cute moment of Hutch having to hand her toilet paper and then leering for a minute. And were we supposed to think, oh, I hope they find true love? I was like, what?
We are in 2006.
What is happening
I just
in
want to
this
remind you very quickly. We are in 2006. It is not okay.
Everybody-
Yeah.
Everybody,
Back then in 2006, it was okay to like hand somebody toilet paper through an open crack in a door and then just watch
then
them
be like-
wipe.
Yeah.
like, are you going to
weird.
close the door? And she's kind of like, hee 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 hee.
Close it.
A dude
Oh,
wrote
I thought,
this.
now that I already saw it, that I could just,
Might as well just look.
wait here and watch.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
disgusting.
Disgusting.
But I mean, I was
Disgusting.
also equally as disgusted by the part when Loomis walks in on his friends having sex and then just kind of watches and is like,
I think the writers
in my
of this-
parents' bed? How dare you?
yeah,
But keep going.
Yeah.
don't let me interrupt.
I think the writers of this movie have a specific fetish that they're getting to put in, much like Tarantino and his foot thing, and also saying the N-word. And it doesn't play well with me because watching people go to the bathroom against their will is not good. Your thoughts? Anyway, we don't have to.
Well, I have thoughts. It's not that thought, but I do have thoughts because I think it's very interesting later on in this movie when the cop is interviewing the guy who works at the EB Games or the GameStop, and he's talking about like, oh, there's this underground game that sounds really cool, and he's like, well, a game is just an extension of the person who created it, of their mind. Like, you wouldn't play a game made by Charlie Manson, would you? And I'm like, is this also maybe the people who made this movie? Are you calling yourselves out right now? Being a little bit.
Well, that's what movies are too.
I don't
right?
know.
Yeah.
I don't know them. Maybe they're lovely.
Also,
and
if
they
I
just
knew
know bad people.
If I knew
That's okay.
100% the game wouldn't kill me in real life, I would absolutely at least watch a playthrough of a game developed by
for
Charles
sure.
Manson.
I would.
You kidding? That sounds incredible. It's called Helter Skelter. Boom.
Aw. Yeah, I would watch it. I would
yeah.
not play it. I'd be terrified.
Then we get then we get just that weird sequence of them all getting haunted individually.
That was weird.
Swink.
It
And
was-
like Frankie
keyboard.
Muniz typing, and he's like got blood all
the
over his face.
blood comes out of the keyboard.
Yeah.
And
So I think the purpose of this was
that they're still in the game.
was that the game is still happening even though they're not there. But
oh yeah, because Finn's playing it, and they think he's
But-
not.
yeah, but I
But
also
this is
think-
afterwards, and he's like fixing his car up, and almost gets like hit by a car, and he's like, "Whoa, that's weird."
yeah.
After
I
a
think,
big bong hit, shouldn't be driving.
well, I don't think he was trying to drive. I think he was just trying to clean his car. It didn't really make sense as to what I thought maybe he was going to turn his
Trespassing?
car on and it was going to run him over because like he was about to get run over by horses or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
With the carriage.
Because I don't think it necessarily needs to happen exactly how it happens in the game, but he does get actually run over by a horse-drawn carriage later on. You're like, oh, okay. Thought maybe he would just get hit by like that truck or his own car would run over him. But I also think that
Yeah.
the purpose of this scene is also to show that she's able to haunt everybody at the same time and not individually. Like she's not an entity that has to be in one place at one time, but she can essentially hunt multiple people at once.
As long as they've.
I think it's like just ghost rules.
Yeah, it's less about
Yeah.
the game and more about the like, because she kind of by the end of the movie she's just kind of over the like if you die in the game you die in real life thing. She's just actively killing people. It's more like if you die in real life you die in the game at one point too, like the other way. Like we think that Swink is dead. I want to call him so many different
Sweeney
things than
Todd.
Swink.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
I did think it was interesting that like
Swinky Todd.
Twinkie Todd, they all get together on like a Saturday
Twinkie
morning
Todd.
or a Sunday morning for some reason to like we got to figure this out. Why are these murders happening? And Frankie Muniz's character Swink says, "This is why I'm missing my G4 Tech TV weekly roundup." And I can tell you right now, that was a real thing that existed. I had G4
In
Tech
2006?
In 2006?
Absolutely it was. And I would have been pissed if I had to miss the weekly roundup, much
There
like
you
him.
go.
So
You got Adam Sandler and Morgan Webb or whatever their names
Adam
were back then.
Sessler and Morgan
Was
Webb.
it? Oh, it wasn't Adam Sandler.
No, it wasn't Adam Sandler.
See, he's already getting 2006 heated.
He wasn't
like
like,
we're already back.
You've sold me.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You sold me.
I would watch Adam Sandler and Morgan Webb host a show together.
Hey there, buddy. Well, this
Yeah.
week on the show, pal, we have the new movie game, pal.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens there. They get together, and during all this, October's like, "Where's my brother?" They see on the screen that his character's
sad.
dead. He's driving his fucking convertible, listening to 80s music.
Close your eyes. I want to ride the skies. No, I think about it every day of
It's
my life. You don't understand.
See, like,
It doesn't.
I wish it was a different song. I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad song. but
I
it's
don't
not a
care about the song. It's about his performance.
Yeah.
I wish he was
I
going
believe in it.
Motorhead.
Dude, you have no
What's
idea.
your price for flying?
Sister Christian man, and
He's about to die.
Yeah,
Been so much better.
would have been good.
Yeah. So the
Funky.
road gets
But I mean,
dark.
budget, right? Budget.
They had to pick some other Journey song. None of those songs are Journey. The road gets
Nice.
dark. They call him, and he explains that he's stuck. So they start to go get him.
I'm stuck on this really familiar-looking road with gnarly trees.
It's like I haven't tripped this bad since what? Oh God, I can't remember the line.
It was something at Bible camp.
Yeah,
Something-
he's like,
something at
since like
Bible
I ate something at Bible camp, like I'm tripping really hard.
Yeah, since
then
I eat like
Abigail's on
Miss
the line, he's like,
Marvel's
"Sup,
muffins.
Mama?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Hi."
Huh.
That's what I.
Is this Fatal Frame I'm speaking to?
Yes.
Or
Miss
Fatal Frame
Fatal
2.
Frame.
Yeah, he gets killed by a horse and carriage.
Yeah. But he does learn the fact that in old lore, Elizabeth Bathory cannot look at herself in a mirror.
Yes.
Because she cannot stand to see herself grow old. So he turns in the game mode, turns the mirror around, and it's like this silver, like sterling silver,
Yeah.
and it
And
can't
that-
break.
Polished silver. Yeah.
That does feel very much like almost sort of like an escape game logic leap, or like, you
Yeah.
know, something that you would have to do where you're thinking outside of the box gaming wise. And like,
You're
I
like,
appreciate that. It's really cool.
I got you.
Yes, it's so cool.
So
She
fun.
can break a regular mirror, but the back of the mirror is polished silver, and then like she
Can't
can't
break it.
Yeah, it's so good.
And she is forced to see herself. Foreshadowing.
I don't like that he figured it out immediately. That he,
and then
like,
died.
used it
Well,
and then-
no, if you figure it out that early in a horror movie, you
Yeah.
die that early, and then it gets passed on to your
Yeah.
friends.
But I mean, and then they use not a product placement at all, Alienware laptop at the end
It's so good.
as a reflective shield.
There's
I also
Alienware
love how not
laptops for this whole
reflective it
movie.
is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so bad. Yeah.
Very dull.
It's like
She's
broken
like,
at
I
one
still
point,
hate
too.
it.
Time to go into classic horror movie stretchy face of the
So
era.
good. And Scream for a long time.
Honestly, it looked all right in this movie. It didn't, because it wasn't digitally done. I think they built a real.
I think
face
there was
for
like
her
a
there.
yeah. I think there was like a mask that they put on her. There's like
Very
this
cool.
this weird time lapse that they do after Finn dies. I guess it's to show the like like how heavy it is, but like I was just like,
Oh well, after Finn dies is when the whole like gamer like EB dude shows up.
well, yeah.
The cop
So
goes there,
this is
right?
when the cops, they're like, Hutch, what the hell is going on? He's like, well, this is gonna sound crazy, but the video game is killing us in real life if we die in the game. And he's like, that's
And he's like, if you are
ridiculous.
here one more time at another crime
Yeah.
scene, I am taking you
I am
in.
taking you to
Like I
prison.
can't
I
do this
mean,
anymore. You
at
got
this
your 3
point-
strikes.
Yeah, at this point in the
And you're
movie, I'm
out.
like, they should probably take him to jail.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
I would.
If he's screaming about a killing video game, I would be like, yeah, you're coming with us, man.
I think your time in general population is done. You're gonna go
Yeah,
to
we need to run a background check and see if he rented some horses recently.
And then
That would be my first question.
This is when that fucking shitty cop, somehow shittier than the Wendell Pierce character, is just like, yeah, right, fucking video games kill people. I'll go over. And as they walk up to him, you hear him saying the seance thing. And then, and then he
Come to
goes,
me, clouds.
Yeah. What does that even mean?
What does that even freaking mean over here?
I
This
don't
is
get it.
stupid. And then he immediately dies in the game in the most horrific way possible by getting his
He's
head
not a
exploded.
gamer.
Nope.
Yeah.
He dies
He's
immediately.
like, so what is this, like Super
So
Mario or
fast.
something?
He like woke up in a torture chamber. His character was screwed
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which then he goes to an EB to do some detective work.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of
I
this freaking
love
game?
that guy.
Flashes his badge.
I don't know who that actor is. Maybe I should look it up. I believed him because I've worked with these people and I have been at least slightly in like 10 to 60% in my life been that person.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were
I
going to say
just
in love
love-
with them.
No, I loved his choices as an actor of being like just like a
straight
little
up
bit
weirdo. Yeah.
Ooh,
It
it
looks
was really
like-
cool. I like
Almost like he's been awake for 2 days drinking Monster Energy.
He
drinks
has
and
been
just-
Yeah, because he
Clearly.
comes up to him and he's like, if you want to stay out, he says something like that. Like, I can give you something for that. He's like, you look tired.
Yeah, he's
Give me
like,
something for
oh,
that."
like I know you. You're the gamer. You're like your wife is driving you crazy, and you want to get away from the kids, and you need an escape. What do
Yeah,
you want?
yeah.
Like I got you. I'll
got
read
you.
you.
He's a
And
drug
I'm like,
dealer.
He's a-
yeah.
so many
He's a
drugs.
methamphetamine addict. Well, this guy, I think his name is Fidget. He's the only character that fits that role.
Fidget, yeah.
He doesn't have a picture, but he was on Portlandia for an episode.
I love Portlandia.
He was
He
on
has a very particular face. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I've seen this man in things before for certain.
He's only been in. Have you
He's,
seen?
he's got that Mac Tonight looking head.
He's moon faced. He was in the TV show Grimm. Did you watch Grimm?
Like the cartoon,
No,
like the Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy. Because yes, I have.
No, that one. That one about the guy. It's like he fights horror people. I think.
Oh, no, that does
like
really
the
sound
Brothers
familiar.
Grimm.
Yeah. That's the one. He goes and he's the guy
Yeah.
that fights Brothers Grimm monsters. Yeah, I remember.
Now
the
I've got to
show.
fight Rapunzel. Die, you fucking monster!
It was
Look at
on.
my hair.
It was
my
on
hair.
NBC.
I just needed a haircut. Help
Yeah.
me.
He's like, well, I'll give you more than that. Cuts her head off. No, that's a close shave.
Oh wow. Okay, Sweeney. I see.
It had a whole. It has all people I've seen before, but have never known their names. So that's real.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay. So he was in Grimm, and he's also an interesting character that doesn't get enough screen time. I think he should have been a
He was
recurring
really
character throughout
good.
the whole movie. He should have been part of their crew.
He should have been the main character of the sequel that never got made.
But this movie also
could
is
be.
like making it seem like anyone who plays video games is a fucking tweaky ass weirdo.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine
We're
with,
not?
I guess. Wait a minute. What do you mean we're
Wait.
not?
Huh? Have you heard me
Excuse
this
me.
whole time?
I did kind of want to talk about the music a little bit because
I
I think
like the music.
I think the music kind of rules in this movie.
It's
Just
so
before we
good.
get to that, I just want to finish. I just want to finish the thought. He leaves the EB, goes to his van, and for some reason the metal things that go into his mouth in the game, that happens. Very Hellraiser, and his head explodes. So sorry, this is a segment about
so
the music
good.
of the movie.
The music is really good. It's got that like gamer vibe too, like a really like harsh, like it was done on a computer.
Yes,
with
it
a bunch
sounds
of
almost
violins.
carpentry at times, but it does also have a lot of those like shitty early 2000s elements of horror music, but it has some sort of uniqueness to it that I like, and it elevates it above that, where I'm like, it's got the things I don't like, but it's got this weird thing that I really, really do like. And I also like that, every time she's near, we get that sort of, you left your controller on the table and it's vibrating.
that
sound
Maybe it
effect.
sounds like a fart. Maybe
It's like-
you're in trouble.
That sound.
Yeah.
But that's
so
the
Everybody
whole
hates
reason
the
they
sound.
did it. They were like, oh, like you would. It was again audio commentary, but the director and writer were like, you would leave your controller down for like 2 seconds, and you go to pee or like get a snack, and you're playing something horrifying, and you just hear. And
So
you're
I
like,
was
oh god, I
watching-
have to like jump over the couch and figure out what I'm doing.
I don't know. Pause the game.
Horrible.
I was well, it's some games you can't pause, brother.
True.
Yeah.
I was, and I assuming this is one of them. Like this
Yeah.
doesn't seem
No,
like a
they
game
very
you can
clearly
No, they do
pause the
pause
game
it.
many times.
Yeah, but just because it
And
says
then
pause
she
on the screen doesn't
cheats.
mean that it's actually
if you
paused.
pause the game, you in real life you pause the game inside the video game.
Do you?
Okay. I
Or
guess
does
these
she
are
start
new
it without
rules.
you and then lock you out of a van?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then your head explodes.
So I was watching the movie with headphones on. And so I was getting a lot of like annoyance in terms of the audio editing, but I did really like that sound effect, that controller vibrating sound effect, is also integrated into the music throughout the movie.
For sure.
And it's pretty cool. And
The guy, I wish I looked it up, but the guy who composed this also went on to do a lot of other horror composing music and like good stuff. So that makes sense. He knew what was up.
I think that he like Jimmy the Scumbag or whatever his name is. What was his name?
Jimmy
Finn.
Simpson?
Finn. Yeah.
Finn.
Do not talk about my Westworld baby.
The
My
music.
Phineas.
Listen,
like,
he's a great actor, and everything that
love
he's in,
him.
he always kills it.
he's the
Um,
worst person.
He just plays really shitty characters a lot.
But
of the
he's
time.
also so charming as an actor that it's like you are the worst, but I can like at least get through it
Yeah.
because you're so charming.
The music
like
is
him,
done by a guy named
composer.
John Frizzell, and he's most known for Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
That's so funny. No, he did other horror movie stuff though, didn't
No,
he?
he did one. He did Texas Chainsaw. I don't think
Uh-huh.
that sounds not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That might just
Like the
be
newer
like
one.
It might just be an asylum version. What is this?
Might be a TV show. There's
Oh,
so much
it's-
Texas Chainsaw
Yeah, it's
stuff.
Texas
A
Chainsaw
lot.
3D,
Okay.
which was a
Anyway, I think that he was in the pocket for what he was doing here because he did a really good job of making it
He's done
feel
a lot
like
of shit.
the music of the era while also giving it its own identity. And I looked up the music after I watched it. Couldn't find any of the bits I liked, so I think maybe it might be lost to time. But
Probably.
it's not bad. It's actually probably one of the strongest points of this movie, in my opinion, is
He
the music.
composed the music for a couple things that I recognize, like the original Beavis and Butthead Do America, Dante's Peak, Alien Resurrection. I still know
Dante's
Alien
Peak,
Resurrection, that's what I
The
was thinking.
video game or the movie?
the movie.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of Dante's Inferno.
Yeah,
based on the
that's
play.
I still know he did
Or the
last
poem.
summer, Office Space, and then Josie and the Pussycats, and the James Dean movie, which we did on this very program.
That's why the music was so familiar.
James
Remember in
Dean!
James Dean when it was like,
He did 13 Ghosts, Ghost Ship.
oh, both of those movies are Lost Pages episodes that may appear on this episode or this podcast.
He composed
episode?
2 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise.
This episode very much feels like a Lost Pages
It really
episode,
does,
by the
yeah.
way. I almost was going to convince Jason to play the Grimoire intro that I made at the beginning of this
Aw.
specifically for it.
I should have. I'll play it at the outro if you'd like.
Sure.
I don't have. Do I have the thing? I don't have the thing set up. I don't think you've even sent me that video.
It's on the the drive, but
Yeah?
we don't need to worry about
No, we'll get to the 3 Grimoires next year. I mean,
Listen,
yes,
guys,
next year.
I will say, we are still in the beginning ish of this movie. We gotta motor through.
No, we don't. I mean, yes, we
Yeah.
do, but no,
A
we're
little
not.
bit.
We're-
No, we don't.
No, sorry. I moved us all the way to the fact that the guy's head explodes. Basically, that's
Yeah.
where everything starts to go crazy.
So we have how many deaths of the people that we know? We got Loomis, we got Miller, we got Finn. Those are all dead. Now things are really hitting the fan. October, Finn is her brother. She's like,
We got the cop, got his head
I
ripped
can't
open.
let anybody else hurt anymore. This is insane. Like, she's like, Hutch, why did you bring this game into our life? How dare you? And he's
Oh,
like,
God.
Oh,
didn't
you're right. It is
know.
after 10. Now I'm
Yeah.
realizing.
How was I supposed to know that?
How was I supposed to know?
So they
He
go to
shouldn't
the
have known.
they go to the place where Lucas died. Abigail.
Lucas.
Sorry, Loomis.
No, Lupus.
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 I swear
Lupin.
to God, they said the name Lucas at one point in the movie, and I don't know if it was a mistake or that's his real name, and his friends call him Loomis.
No, I think that you might have been hallucinating, and Elizabeth Bathory has already got you. I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, Jason, there's something behind you.
They go to this house where Loomis died. Still a crime scene. There's blood everywhere, and
also breaks in easily. You're like, okay.
Yeah. I also don't think we really don't need to talk about this scene. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with anything.
Act 2 of this, it's literally like Act 1, beautiful, and then Act 2, really medium up until that like.
Well, this is what I meant when it turns into Jello for me, where I'm like, nothing really matters anymore, and it's just like I could just like sift.
We're getting information,
right? The only thing I wanted to bring up about this is she is once again taking pictures at the most inappropriate times.
Yeah,
and I thought here was
that's her character
motive. See
motive.
a ghost in a picture, but we don't. Okay, so we can kind of skip that.
I think the next most important thing in the plot, at least, is when they go to meet the game designer.
Yes. No, not October. It's October 1st.
No, she doesn't die yet. She dies after that.
Oh, you're right, because they're going to get their information.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring this scene up, because they find a phone immediately somehow that has the.
That was their mission.
Address. Yeah, because they all split up to go do things. Because earlier October's like, I want you. She's mad. She's like, why did you bring this game into our life? And he's like, I didn't. What are you talking about? He's like, I want you to find who killed my brother. And he's like,
okay.
Okay.
I guess that's my job now.
And he looks at the camera like,
I'm not an intern at a law office firm anymore. Now I have to hunt
I think the office must have been closed down after the boss was brutally murdered in the office. They're like, we gotta close it for a second.
Also, he was like a low level boss, right? There's probably like 20 other bosses above him.
But that's still a murder in the office.
Ooh, like murder in the office. That should be the subtitle
Murder
of
in the Office.
Stay Alive 2. Murder in the
That was
Office.
actually the German title for this movie.
Murder in the Office.
Murder in the Office. So yeah, they find the address. They go to the guy, the developer. The developer's a real creepy weirdo. We'll find out later that he has a secret room where he was like developing this game, but mostly just had pictures of eyes on the wall.
But also the same closet that was in the like Act 1 of this entire game, where they're like, ooh, what's a closet? Oh, I opened the closet. It's Narnia, and also Secrets of Elizabeth Bathory.
Also, can I just say, just to be the resident homosexual here. Okay. Oh, well, la-di-da, a queer-coded, weird, creepy, gay villain man. Okay, got it. Thank you, movie of the 2000s.
Of the 2006?
Did he have to be a guy who was like, yes, well, I almost developed the perfect game ever made, but
Steven, I need to ask you a question.
From me. Yeah.
If we were in 2006 right now, and I was a director and a writer, and I said, listen, I have a part for you, would you say no?
I would say, yeah.
Let me call my agent.
Let me call my agent.
Smoking like a bitch stick on like
the longest fucking.
It doesn't stain your teeth that way.
Yeah,
exactly. I should get that.
I should get that. I think it doesn't stain your fingers. I think it still stains your teeth and mouth.
And your lungs and like the rest of it.
Yeah, your body wreaks havoc on your colon.
He wanted to make the greatest Elizabeth.
Oh, my poor colon.
Sorry, Jason. I was distracted by a colon. It's my bad.
No, you're distracted by a queer-coded villain is what you're distracted by.
Also that I did romance Astarion in Baldur's Gate, so that makes sense.
Oh, he's the most queer-coded character of all time.
He's just my Tim Curry, and I'll take that.
Also, I don't think he's queer-coded. I think he's just gay.
I think he's straight up likes to...
Well, my Tav was straight, so
most people suck the blood out of the neck, whereas Astarion... so
I prefer a nice stiff sausage.
Our late night tryst.
Right out of the butt.
It just reminds me of, sorry, this is a sidetrack, but Home Alone 2, where Tim Curry is like, I got you your pizza.
Your pizza.
It's a
insane
cheese
that I'm like,
pizza. Yeah. It's a cheese
pizza. Sorry.
What
were we talking about?
We're talking about the queer-coded villain who...
Oh, yes.
Gets fridged anyway.
Yeah. They walk in and he's like, What are you doing in my house?
In my swamp.
Get on your knees and
Shrek.
tell me you love me. I love you. No,
So,
yeah,
he wanted to make the world's greatest Elizabeth Bathory game, and Hutch is like, yeah, well, that game has killed 5 of my friends.
Yeah.
Like,
He
how
was
do you
like,
know
"It
about
worked?"
the cop dying?
That's
And
true.
why he
yeah.
was not your
Wait,
friend?
is that count?
And also they weren't.
Oh
friends.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. So 6 people have died.
Oh no, because he must have known Rex and Sarah, right?
Yeah,
Rex, Sarah,
he was friends. He had
Lucas.
multiple friends groups.
Loomis,
Yeah.
Rex, Sarah, Miller, Finn. So that's 5.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. For some
Checks
reason,
out.
after I heard him say that, I was like, "How do you know the cop?" But yeah, I kept
Yeah.
forgetting about Rex and.
And
Sarah.
you're like, and also, were they friends before that?
He must have seen them around.
yeah, he.
Yeah, New Orleans is a small town.
So he's like, you know what? If you want answers, go find the author of the book I based the game off of. And it's like, no, not more things. So they
Imagine this character though, because he's already queer coded, right? So imagine they queer coded him, but they also gave him like a crazy Louisiana accent, where he's like, "How the hell did you get into my house?"
Well, they kind of
And
did that.
He's got his shears like.
They kind of did that with the next character because that woman, the author of the book, she doesn't. That's not her real accent, right?
No,
It must not
It
be.
was so bad.
Wait, you guys don't know her? Come on.
Personally,
I
no.
recognize her, but what's she from? I was going to ask you this.
She plays the Borg Queen in Star Trek. She's also in your
Okay.
favorite movie, Silent Hill, Cassandra Hodgins.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah.
Stop. Okay, it's like seeing Gary Oldman in many things that I didn't realize it was
She
Gary
is a,
Oldman.
she
and I'm
is a
like,
Gary
oh my
Oldman.
God.
Yeah, she's very much a Gary Oldman. But
I didn't know.
Yeah, in Silent Hill, she's like the one who's like, "We've got to burn the witches."
So
or
good.
whatever.
Also,
Yeah.
we should talk about Silent Hill.
We
I
should
don't
probably-
mean to. Every single time I come on this podcast, I'm like, here's another movie.
All right, fine. We'll put it on the list.
Silent
it'll
Hill.
be
So
a,
her
it'll be a
name-
Lost Pages episode.
Her name's Alice Krieg, and she's just billed in this movie as the author, which I think
also
But
think
also,
that.
again, only in the director's cut, not in the theatrical release.
okay.
Oh, that scene wasn't in the theatrical release. Okay, so.
Oh man.
Well, we get her, and she's a good actor, and I'm glad that she was in it because I got excited because I was like, "Is that the Borg Queen? Oh my God, she's channeling the energy of the movie Silent Hill she was also in, which came out like a year before this, I think, or
I
maybe
think
the same year."
Oh my God, was
She
it
was also in-
2005 of Silent Hill?
She's also in the MCU.
2006. It came out the same year.
Okay. Well, I thought that
Same
her
year.
accent.
Her agent was
insane.
working.
She's like, "Okay, so you're kind of getting to that point where all you can play is like creepy old women in horror movies. Are you okay with this?"
Honestly, that's a good typecast. I would take that
I would
in a
too.
heartbeat.
She does have an interesting looking face, and she's doing a weird accent in this where she's also putting on like a speech impediment a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought she was just doing like she could not do a Louisiana accent. Is how I
So she just
read
was
that.
like making it so she couldn't say R's and L's.
Yeah, she's just having a problem with that accent. And
She's like,
she had one day.
"What
on set
happened
to get
down
this
here
done.
in New
Well, again,
Orleans?"
25 days to make the entire thing.
She had an
maybe one
afternoon
day
to
on
get
set.
this.
Yeah. We take
She was
a-
also reading off a screen. They're like, "Can you do a Louisiana?" And she was like, "No," and like, "We
Like,
have
no,
to."
I've never tried it.
This movie's about people from Louisiana, and not a single person has a Louisiana accent. The Mystic, at least, has to have.
She
a
kind of had
Louisiana.
one. She was like, "Wadey Wakewood would bring them down to the bathtub, and they would put them in the bathtub."
was over the
Louisiana
top.
for sure.
And then she'd be like, "Widowry, cut their life off,
That
and
Wesley
then
Webbit.
bathe in their blood."
So we get the whole story about the Bathory woman killing.
So good.
She kills a young woman, a concubine, in her estate, I guess, and then gets her blood on her, and realizes her blood is actually good.
Well, it's like a whole like hair comey thing. There's like a bunch of stories about Elizabeth Bathory of like how it kind of started, but
But she
the
essentially
OG is it stems from her getting like her hair combed by a servant, and she like tugs her hair a little bit too hard. She turns around, slaps the girl in the face, and gets blood on her hand.
Yeah.
And is like, "Wow, I'm immediately beautiful," and I will.
And then she's
So then
like,
she-
"Dun,
Drain your blood."
dun, 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 dun,
So then
dun,
she kills and
dun,
bathes in the
dun.
blood of 39 virgins, which dial of my sex tape. Nope.
if you look at like the old trials, they like I think it was like 300-ish bodies of these girls. But
Yeah,
it's still like a bit conspiracy-esque. They're like, was it a witch hunt because she was a powerful woman with money, or was she a serial killer?
it's like borderline legendary, but it's also sort of like we have evidence enough that she did definitely kill a bunch of people. We just don't know if
Yeah.
it was 300
What was the number?
plus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying.
But also at that time, like if you're that powerful and you really want to bathe in blood, you could probably have accomplished that goal quite easily.
Well, it was always that's how she got away with it for so long. According to lore, it's like, I don't know, 1500s, 1600s. It's when this happened. But like, if you have a bunch of servant people around you and you have a lot of money and you have a state and nobody's going to question if their child went missing, how long can you get away with it? A long time.
Until you
A
die.
long time.
Yeah.
Until you're cast away in a tower and starved to death. So that's tough.
I'm finding something interesting about talking about this movie is the whole time we can skip over these large sections, but there's so many parts that like you have to hone in on and actually talk about stuff.
It's iconic in its own way. Like, it is very much to the time, and also cool lore. This didn't come from nowhere. No, like Disney wouldn't have gotten this pitch on an iMovie and been like, okay, we'll just run that. Like, there are really cool moments. It's just you got a lot of lull time.
The
That's
original
okay.
pitch, though, they wanted to make her like a princess, and she's gonna sing songs and stuff, and it was gonna be all beautiful, and she'd have been like stabbing and bathing in blood, and it would have been
There's like birds.
very
She's like,
artistic.
"Ah."
Yeah, scrubbing with blood, like.
I want that movie. That sounds incredible. And Elizabeth Bathory.
Cast me immediately.
Like Disney, yeah, that'd be perfect. Like a Disney,
I'll do
Disney
it.
parody kind of thing, or like one of those villain movies, like Sleeping Beauty villain, Mephistopheles.
Maleficent?
Maleficent.
Melistopheles.
Mephistopheles.
Mr. Mistopheles. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Literally.
Widowy. So anyway, we learn all about it. October is now playing the game, even though they told her specifically not to. They find her computer open, and the game seems to be kind of playing itself now a bit. And October goes out for a smoke, and as they realize that she just left her game open, she gets like chased into a abandoned sort of building. And
under construction house.
And then she gets chased around a little bit, and then as she's trying to escape, she finds these shackles on the ground. Like, why are there shackles here? Anyway,
Well, I think this is
construction house. That's how that works.
This is where we're realizing that the game and the real world are crossing over from one another,
Combining,
which is when I start to get more. It's the Jello starts to solidify again for me a little bit here. I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting interesting.
So
Where they're like, wait a minute, are we playing the game, or is the game playing us?
Yeah,
that's pretty good. The shackles do end up catching her, and she gets hung upside down. And then we see Bathory for the first time in her like super demon state. She's got the demon face, and she slits her throat. And
okay. Question: how did this scene look for you guys watching it streaming on like really bad quality? Because to me,
we watched
Phantom
a rip.
Ghost beautiful. Like, she looked really cool. Elizabeth Bathory looked really cool in that, like kind of like coming in and being a little bit transparent.
I think it looked okay.
Moment.
I mean, like we weren't watching the best quality of the movie, but like I thought that stuff all looked all right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wasn't sure like what your vibe was.
I didn't think it looked that great. I thought it looked kind of
2006.
I'll be completely honest. I think that because they were going for like a weird stylized version of everything, I thought everything kind of looked cool. Like I never was like this looks bad. I was always like this looks kind of cool.
The like zombie concubines I thought looked cool because they do that Twitter or the stutter thing, the twitchy stutter thing. I like that. I like that effect. I just thought Bathory looked better later in the movie when she was more played by a woman. Like,
for sure. Design. Like when she was in like human body self.
I didn't like the way that this looked because I don't know. I've seen clear pictures of it online too, and it just, I don't know, it didn't resonate for me, but I'm glad that you guys appreciate it.
That is A-okay.
She Bathory kills her via slice neck. Only Swink
So
and
sad. She tells her to go fuck herself and then is like,
they all find her like
death.
right at that moment, and she's like alive for a second. She's like, "Avenge me!" Basically.
yeah. Hutch is just having a moment of like, I have literally just watched all of my friends die. I'm already traumatized. I will say that was a pretty good acting moment for him. He didn't get a lot of like moments in the film as an actor to play off of because he's kind of just the viewer's eyes through the story. But that was really nice that we got to see him like over top of Sophia Bush just being like, please, please don't leave me. I can't do this again. And then in the car, like in the next scene, talking to Abigail, and he's like got blood on his hands, like punching the fucking desk in front of him, or the.
And then Abigail.
And then we get
Abigail.
Frankie Muniz in the back with a new way of wearing his hat. Which
Of course.
Every time he has his hat on a new way, I'm like, okay, cool.
If this movie had been more famous, and they would have, a scary movie would have had his character in it, but every time you see him, he has more. Either the hat gets bigger, or like in that one scary movie, or he has more hats on, he has more visors on. But this is the point in the movie where Abigail's like, oh yeah, remember all that stuff about, you know, me being from from somewhere down south, and
somewhere.
me and your sister and blah blah blah. She's like, that's all
And my
fake.
dad's really rich, and like I have this big life and whatever.
And he goes, you live in this van, don't you? Basically. She's like,
yep.
So
this van is and she's like,
yeah.
Maison Derriere.
Also, I think I believe this is true.
Houseboat.
And somebody who's listening, if they know that I'm wrong, correct me. That's totally fine. But I'm pretty sure Abigail with her blonde wig, she was filming something else at the time, and she had like really like dark short hair. And so that was like fully a wig. And now whenever I watch this movie, I'm like, that is so obviously a wig to me that I can't unsee it. It's like
I had a crush on this
blonde
actor
hair.
around this time, but I don't even know. Was she on like Scrubs or something?
She was on, oh god.
She's in a bunch of stuff.
I was looking at it earlier. I wanted to say like the Real Housewives, but that's not it. It was something like some reality thing that she was on for a second, and then other things in between.
Is she from Survivor?
But she kind of just
No, she's not the one
no.
from Survivor, is she?
I'm gonna jujule it. Hold on.
Yeah, do a little jujulsfy.
Do a little body karate.
Samaire Armstrong. Oh, the OC. She's from the fucking OC.
That's what I was thinking of. The OC.
Yes.
Yes. Just My Luck. Stay Alive. OC.
She's like
The Mentalist. She was on The Mentalist. Good
I didn't
show.
watch The Mentalist, but that's a show I would like to watch one day. When she was on the OC, I think she was like the foil for Adam Brody and the girl.
Yeah, I think so.
Like I think they were boyfriend girl. I know that's
Again,
a show.
one of the ones I wasn't allowed to watch, so I had to get snippets from watching it with my cousins.
Tell you guys what my foil is. Talking about television from the early fucking 2000s.
Steven,
We're in the early 2000s, Steven.
Jesus
Listen, these are my formative television years. I had torrenting at this point, so I watched everything. I get my hands
Except
on.
this movie, apparently.
No, I didn't watch movies. Remember, I didn't watch horror movies specifically. Anyway, that happens. You think it's going to be a twist, and it's not. Swink tries playing the game again because they realize nobody's playing the game. I think.
Well, they now know
they're
that
going
they
to
need
the creator's like house or whatever. They're like, oh, we gotta like get into
but they need
the
they
mind
need-
of the controller. of
They
this.
need to find her body. They
Yeah.
need to get 3 nails, and they need to get a hammer, and they need to burn her blood. These are things
that's
we now
some
know.
witchy stuff. That's
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
And we've already
I
got
don't
all
know
this
if
information.
We talked about this already on the podcast, but this is also true witchy stuff because I also do some witchy stuff. The dead.
Well, you can
cannot
be back on
cross-
our theme for this year called Witches Get Stitches. We have a whole month dedicated to witch movies.
Okay, invite me. I would love that.
We
but
just watched The
there's, like,
Craft 4 times, and that's it.
nice.
No.
I have some. We'll talk. I have some.
Yeah. I got a ton of witch movies that I
Witches
got
of
on the list.
Eastwick, The Craft.
No, The Witch. How about The
Hocus
Witch?
Pocus.
And Hocus Pocus. Barely even touched us.
Gretel and Hansel. Okay, anyway, we'll talk about it later.
What I'm saying
Vampire
is
killers.
like ghosts cannot pass like the twig of a rose or whatever.
Right.
So they will drop roses in the game and then also in real life to be like, I am safe for a moment.
Suck on this witch, and you throw a rose at her, and she's like, "Oh, disgusting!"
But like again, like that whole thing of like reality and the game melding together, which is really really cool. Yeah.
So I feel like we're kind of at the end.
We are kind of.
Oh, you were talking about the nails and the hammer.
If you want to give
this happened before, because October gave this information before she died.
Right.
So she's a witch.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure. Have you seen her hair color?
I know.
And makeup?
Also, I
and her attitude.
I don't know if you guys can see it. It's my Hangman's tarot card.
Yeah, that goes pretty hard.
Yeah, I love it.
What's he hanging by? Good Lord.
It's actually, sorry, a little bit of witchy knowledge. The tarot card for the Hangman is actually, it looks kind of scary, but it's really good. And it's about the fool looking upside down and hanging from a tree, just like kind of on his ankles and being like, oh, I see the world in a new perspective. And I've never seen it that way before. So it's one of my favorite.
Speaking of a new perspective, I just put together why you love this movie.
Did you? Right now?
Elizabeth Bathory. Well, not all the other stuff I said, sure, but I didn't recognize that this is fully like witch stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
witch lore stuff.
Occult and like weird, like paranormal. Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Jason was like, I just assume you hate shitty horror. Like, is that what you love? Oh, now I get it. You like witches.
No. It just
took the more shitty horror.
So we are near the end, but I did want, there's like a weird sort of machine gun of lopsided comedic bits at the end of this movie. I don't know if you guys caught on to them all, but like, I was like, that's supposed to be a joke, but it's not delivered like a joke. And that's also supposed to be a joke, and it's not delivered like a joke.
Is that camp? Is that soap
I don't know if it
drama?
counts as camp if it's not, like, it doesn't necessarily need to be delivered like a joke, but it needs to have some sort of element that lets us know that it's a joke outside of out of like the dialogue or like the wording of it.
It's like the 3 layers deep in the comedy of like serious, but the audience knows,
Ash
and I know
fighting his own hand could be considered camp.
That is camp.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, but
Reefer
I mean,
Madness camp.
I just watched I just watched Jumanji the other day, which is very much a comedy movie, but it has
the new one?
No,
the OG.
That's got some camp in it.
And like there's a moment where they tell Peter, I think his name is Little Peter, to go get an axe, and it's in the shed. And he goes to the shed and he can't get it open, and then he grabs an axe and starts trying to bash open the door of the shed. And then he looks down and then he looks in the camera.
He's a monkey at that point, because I remember that being a little bit sped up in a weird way, right?
Well, I mean, if it is or if it isn't, the joke is that he's using the thing that he's supposed to get to try and get into the thing where he thinks it is, but he's like his brain didn't catch up to it, and it's very funny, right?
He looks at the camera too.
Yeah, and like, so there are moments in this end part where it seems like they could have done stuff like that rather than it just being like, bam, 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 here you go, this is the end of the movie. There's a moment where it's Hutch, where I'm like, I don't think he knows that he was supposed to be making a joke here, where he picks up the phone and he's answering the phone, and Frankie Muniz is calling him, and he says, please don't tell me that you've already been killed.
Died.
Yeah. So like that
He's
should
like,
be
no,
funny.
I got you.
Yeah, but it's
I
not...
always laugh at that part.
Okay,
I think
but
it's
it doesn't,
hilarious.
like, I don't know, there's something off about it. It's not funny. Like, it should be funnier than it is.
They're playing it too straight. Like, you have
it needs to be a little bit either like the angle, like they have to film it from a lower angle, or like make him like have a pause first, or like something. There's a way to make that funny, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
I don't think they knew if like they were making a serious movie or if they were making a campy movie. I don't think they knew that going in. They were just like, here's a thing. And if they had maybe like a bit more time, they would have been like, it has to be full camp. Right. Or we go really hard into the horror. And there was just like blurred lines the entire way through that.
But even like, saying, please tell me you're not dead yet. And then him being like, what? Like, even if he just was like, of course I'm not dead. Like, there's a way that you can make that into a joke, but it didn't seem like it was going too fast. It was going a little bit too fast.
Yeah.
There's another part where they get the nails, and then he's like, all we need is a hammer. And then she picks up shears And he's like, that'll work.
From
That'll
the secret closet.
Yeah, but then I'm like, that's not a hammer. Like my brain is like, that's not a hammer.
No,
And
Steven,
again, I'm like,
I will say anything can be a hammer if you believe.
of course,
anything is a hammer.
But what I'm saying is that is an
This hammer.
Okay, but that's an opportunity for another joke to be made.
Do you know
they
what
could have
is
made that
strange
into a joke? They
about
could have made that
line?
funny, and it wasn't funny. It was just like weird.
When
Yeah.
October's being chased around that haunted build site, she picks up a hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, she gets like the nail
Like
gun.
an actual no, she picks up an actual hammer.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, you're totally right. She does.
I was like, later when this scene happened, I was like, what the fuck?
happened
kind
to
of
that
weird
hammer? Yeah.
Foreshadowing was that?
they were
then?
dealing with the dead body of their friend, I guess.
They were surrounded by both nails and hammers in that scene, and they didn't
Also-
take any of them.
BRB, I have to use a washroom.
Okay.
Okay.
But enjoy the ending, and please don't finish this without me. I'll be so upset.
Well, we'll wait. We'll wait for you.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
This next 1 minute has been brought to you by the foghorn sound over and over. Sorry. It's just me here now, and I'm doing
I'm
my
here.
best.
So I like what I was saying before, where it kind of turns to gelatin after the death of the boss. There's a few beats after that where it's still solid, and it kind of falls apart for me, and it doesn't really start to reconstitute itself until the game starts to bleed over into reality, which I think is kind of interesting, and that's where the concept of a horror villain being able to move outside of the video game is more interesting. And I don't know how many of the Hellraiser movies you've seen, but there is one called Hell World. I think it's
No, I've still only seen
It's like
1.5 of them.
it's like 8 or 9, I think. But the whole idea is that Lance Hendrickson makes a game called Hell World, and it's like an MMO based on the Hellraiser lore, and within the world of Hellraiser.
Is it from like
exists, but
around
kinda
this
doesn't.
time, or is it from like the 90s?
It's from like 1998, I think.
Oh, wow.
Or
Okay.
it might be like 2001. I don't know. It's in that sort of like weird time between the late 90s and early 2000s. But the whole idea is that it's like he's having a launch party for the video game, and all these influencers at the time are like famous gamers and like celebrities are going to this party, and he just starts to like gas them, and they start to hallucinate and think that Pinhead is there and doing shit. And so it's almost like a Saw movie, but then it's also a Hellraiser movie. And then partway through, you're like, oh, it is a Hellraiser movie and Pinhead's actually there, whatever. So it has kind of a similar vibe to this, except on a weird scale that doesn't make any sense. But it's got a lot of people in it that you would recognize. Henry Cavill is in it. Superman
himself, but he's like young and even more handsome somehow, probably.
Actually, he's kind of in like a dopey stage. He's kind of like skinny and little and
Oh, he hasn't gotten his like full chin yet.
Yeah,
In
he's
his
not
pecs.
he's not Superman.
The
yet.
Witcher. Leon's back, fresh out of Chicago. We're in a holding pattern because we don't want to finish the movie without Cass.
Well, you need to move out of Chicago mode and into New Orleans mode.
New Orleans.
Yeah. So I don't know. The end of this movie is kind of a sprint. I know we talked about this a few times where movies sometimes sprint to the end, and it kind of feels like that. But I also want to say that having not seen this movie since 2006 in theaters only one time, as soon as a certain beat hit, I was like, I know exactly how this movie is going to end in every single possible way. And I was like, should I write it down? Should I write it down? Should I pause the movie and write it down and then see if I'm right? But I didn't. I just wrote it in my mind. And I was correct.
So
I was 100% correct.
there's one thing, like we'll say what happens, but there's one part of it that I thought was just the goofiest shit that the director and the stage, like the designer of the area, should have taken into account. They should have kissed each other through the bars, but the way that the bars were situated and their heights, all they could do was kind of like, they kind of just touched fingers like this.
In the theatrical release, they kiss.
They do kiss.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like,
Yep.
they do it
They
through the
fuck
bars.
through the
They
door.
kiss through the bars. So I don't know also why that was changed. To be completely honest, on my side, watching both versions. I'm like, I don't believe in this romance. Like, this makes no sense to me other than like you're desperate and things are happening.
Well, people are when
but
they're
I
gonna
would
die.
actually,
or-
I rather the
shipped
moment of being
October-
like, I'm just here with you.
I shipped
and
October
yeah.
and Hutch because they had actual chemistry, but the
Yeah.
movie was doing that thing that movies from the 90s and this era do, where it's just like final girl and final guy obviously are going to be together, so suspension of disbelief a little bit. But that moment,
October was the best. I love her.
October was
She
great.
had the worst lines, but Sophia Bush just managed to make it work. I don't know.
Yeah,
how.
she's kind of a Jimmy Simpson in this, where she also kind of got the assignment.
Well, I mean, I also
Yeah.
felt like they were just like friends who maybe used to date and don't anymore, or in like a friendship now, like a
Yeah,
weird, awkward
maybe.
friendship. I never really saw them as being together, so that's why this new person appearing, there was like a weird jealousy from October,
I get
but
that.
not a full like I hate this person for being here because he's probably brought other women around
Yeah.
and
She's like a little bit poking fun. Like it's either
Yeah.
little brother moment or ex moment. I
Yeah.
don't like that those are similar. But
Well,
you know
I
what
also
I'm
don't
saying?
like that
there's
like
it depends on how you read the way that she read
Yeah.
it.
But also like the movie seems to propose that like they can't be together because they're gamers. Like almost, where I'm like, I don't think that that's
They're a little
true.
It's illegal
similar.
amongst gamer
You can't get
rules.
married to someone who's a gamer if you're a gamer. You're not allowed. You can't
Although
push
I
that
do know
agenda on anybody.
people in my life who have literally met their person online gaming and then they're like, oh, now we're married and they live a lovely life. So that's cool.
That's great.
But what I was going to get at was
just explain the final scene, and then we'll do.
Okay, fine, yeah. What I was gonna say was attached to the other thing I was saying, but I think I already got past that point anyway.
It's like if you're a Jedi and a senator, says Leon in the chat.
Yeah, I mean we've got to move into aggressive negotiations. How does the ghost die and come back and haunt all those games? That's what we'll get to in the end. That's the final question.
I have an answer. That's cool.
Okay. We get to a point where the movie sets up how the last sort of 10 to 15 minutes is going to operate. And as soon as Swifty Fanky or whatever his name is,
Funky.
Shwimpy Bimpy fell into the rose bush. And as soon as he fell through the roses, I was like, oh, I know how this movie's going to end.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was right. So do we want to go through it beat by beat, or do we want to just...
It's a quick beat.
Yeah,
I feel like we
basically,
can run
they
it
put
quick.
the nails in the thing. They get separated. She's like, "Go on with."
She takes the nails out of her own brain and like everything. She's just like, I don't care about nails. Kill me with fire.
Yeah, and he does.
And Hutch has got the gasoline. He's got the polished laptop.
His Alienware laptop. We didn't really talk too much about how Frankie Muniz is controlling a character in the game who's also kind of shadowing what he's doing the entire time through the property.
When they first go
he's
into
walking
the
through the house.
Yeah.
I honestly really like that bit. It was really cool.
It's a good part.
Like having him be like, oh, like I'm on the phone with you, turn left and go up the stairs. And Hutch is like, how do you know that? He's like, it doesn't matter. Your friend is in danger. Our friend is in danger. Maybe your love interest is in danger.
Everyone's
go help
in
them.
danger.
It doesn't matter. Just listen to me for a second. I'm like, that would be me on mic.
So this was the question that I asked you guys earlier. Who would you want to have playing Frankie Muniz's role at this point while you're trying to get through? Maybe I'm Frankie.
Maybe it is myself.
Yeah. We all chose each other, and by each other we mean our own selves.
Yeah.
It is cool, and I like that part. And video games are doing stuff like this now, which they hadn't really done at that time either.
Yeah.
To your point you were making earlier, Jason, where it's like you're both seeing the same thing, but it's different, and one of you can influence the other one's world. I really like the part where he throws down the crowbar and he's like, do you see a crowbar in front of you now? And he's like, oh shit, yeah, it's right here.
It's like, how did you do what is happening?
I can't get through this door. All right, I'm unlocking it from the other side. And then he gets through. And then when she's about to die, Frankie Muniz runs in and throws all the roses, and he's like, I'm gonna try something.
In a rose bush at the end too, like coming into the room, he's like covered in a rose bush.
Yeah. He's like holding a bunch of roses, like, I think I'll need these later. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. It's a cool moment, and that's when the movie kind of brought itself back for me. It was when they're doing this game mechanic and real world thing mixed up, and it took it from like a standard horror movie of the era to like, oh, they're doing something kind of interesting and cool here, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
And then we get blood and nudity and weird ghost lady, and it's
A lot?
a lot. It's a lot, but
It's a lot.
it's fine. It's fine. It's not bad. I liked it.
It's intense
actually. I
and
kind
it's
of liked it a
fun
lot.
and it's a good horror ending to a movie.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
who doesn't
God,
love a
that-
good tower, right?
I
Towers are
do
always
really
fun.
like the moment after like they do the thing. Heroes win, whoever's alive, they win. And then we just get that like epic close up of the outro of Flick, or what's his name?
Flint?
Swick?
Swick.
Oh, no.
The gamer dude.
Flinch.
Our EB Games.
No, not Flinch.
Oh, Fidget?
Fidget.
Fidget
Yeah.
of him getting that copy of the game
Honestly, Fidget
plugging
sounds
it
like a gremlin name.
in the PS2 and having that narrator come back up with
got
this
the
in the
vibe.
background.
I
as it
got the
comes
vibe.
in.
I thought it was gonna go further and like the game had taken over the world.
Oh.
It's just implied. That's for us to decide, right? Or Stay Alive 2 if they ever make
It
it.
zooms out and the moon turns red. Like,
Here, how about this?
Oh
How
my
about this?
god,
How
it's
about
a blood
this?
moon. Oh no.
The game takes over the world. That's my theory for this week.
That was also my original theory when I watched this. I was like, there's no stopping this. Now that it's out, if like this one little group of people were dumb enough to do the thing, who's to say that multiple people aren't dumb enough to do the thing? And that is mass murder.
Because as they're
And
leaving
nobody's gonna be like, it's a video game.
Yeah. As they're leaving the tower at the end, it's very Rocky Horror. At the end of Rocky Horror, where they don't like check, they just like it's done.
No, that's fair.
That's funny
Also,
that you
like,
say
would
that.
you that like if I was in that situation, I have to really like think about this in a fantasy realm. But if I was in a situation where all of my friends or the majority died, and then I killed the thing, and then I was running out for my life, would I look back? I don't know. I don't know if I would. I just feel like get away from that. I think we did it.
I thought it's funny that you brought up Rocky Horror, Jason, just now, because I was thinking earlier about that, the witch doctor lady or whatever in her shop, and she kept saying, well, it's of course about his obsession. And she kept saying obsession over and over again. And I was like,
This is a
easy,
Tim Curry movie
Frank
also.
and Weenie. Yeah, holy shit. That should have
Yeah.
been Tim Curry, that character.
Yeah.
That would have been so
That
fun.
would be great.
If they had gotten him on, I feel like he would have done it. He's talking about spice and a bunch of things. I think
Yeah.
he could have done it.
Well, I guess. What do you think? You want to do a quick little game?
I love
Oh
games.
God, I forgot about the game.
But if it makes me die in real life, I'll be really upset.
If you die in the MPAA game, you die in real life.
Oh, God.
How does this go? Okay.
The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
Backwards. You did it backwards.
I've been doing it at both ends, but anyway,
It's time to
because I
play
forget every
Guess
time.
the MPAA.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the most famous game on the internet. It's called the MPAA guessing game, and the rules are simple. At the end of each movie, there's an MPAA certificate number, and that number is associated with where this movie falls on a history of film. There are 5 digits in the number, and because Steve hates this game so much, I've dumbed it down to the point that I'll actually give you the first 2 numbers. All you have to do is, with 2 guesses, guess the next 3 numbers in the sequence. There's not too much to think about other than the first 2 numbers this week.
Listen, I can count. I think I'm on this.
Are the 2 numbers 42.
Just 999 other options.
Okay. 42 are the first numbers?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
You just need to guess the other 3 numbers. And I'll tell you higher or lower.
For each of the 3?
It's one number.
One number, 3
We're
digits.
trying to find one number.
Yeah.
It's
Like
a-
single digit or multiple digits?
3 digits.
the number would be 42,000 something something something.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
135.
Higher.
42,888.
Lower.
42,482.
Slightly higher.
42,520.
Oh my god, that's the closest we've gotten so far. Unfortunately.
Ah!
The
We lost Luna.
MPAA certificate number for this movie is 42518.
Whoa! I was two away! I was two
The
away!
MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
Wow.
Incredible. Good job.
With that, I guess we're going to go into our final thoughts. I think that's all of the segments besides the part after where we get out of here. So, yeah, it's time for our final thoughts.
It's time for our final thoughts.
Of course, it is a tradition for the guest to go first. So please, would you go first, Cass? Was that better?
Give me 1 second. My cat is acting up immediately. So maybe someone take it away. Give me 1 second. She's destroying a drawer.
Cass
I'll be right
has
back.
decided this week to not go first. So, Steve, why don't you hit us with your final thoughts?
All right, my final thoughts on this movie after not having seen it for almost 20 years is that I didn't not like it. I thought it was all right. There's a lot of things I didn't like about it for sure, but for a horror movie of middling level in the early 2000s, I think this is something that maybe is deserving of a second look for those who saw it once and forgot about it. Because I probably never would have watched this again, Cass, had you not recommended it.
I get that.
And I didn't have a bad time. I really liked the opening. I really liked the end. There's a lot of jello in the middle that I found hard to walk across, but I was able to get a couple of good slops of jello in my mouth along the way, and I was like, these are tasty a little bit, I think. And I think it's an interesting concept. It's a fun concept, and the fact that the creators of this movie are thinking about trying to revisit the idea, I think that maybe this could be a good first run. Like I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but if anybody was ever like, what are the best video game movies you've ever seen? I would probably toss this in there into the list of like the top 20 at least, because there are so many bad ones that it's easy to stick this one in, like
It's just always a fun watch.
it is fun. It's fun.
Just fun.
There's nothing offensive about it. There's nothing bad about it, really. It's just not something that I wouldn't recommend this to everybody, but there is a specific group of people that I would recommend it to, and those people are gamers and horror fans, and especially fans of kind of like chunky and clunky horror, which like is like we were talking about earlier, like it's sometimes fun to see the seams, and this is one of those ones you can see the seams, and it's
Very clearly.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite part, hello Bumsy, probably.
Hello, Mumsy.
but yeah, I don't know, I like it. If I had to give it a rating, I'd say if you die while watching it, you'll be dead. Probably.
That's how life works, I think. Like, if you died watching it, you would be dead.
I'll stick with that rating. Yeah.
All right. Cass, you're back.
I can go. I think my cat has been quiet enough for a second.
Just put her in a little chokehold just to...
I couldn't catch her. She's water. Even if I tried, she'd be like, escape artist. I love this movie. And every single time I talk about this movie, I preface it with, it's okay if you hate it. Because it's not for everybody. It's not necessarily good, but it has so many good moments that if you can just turn your brain off for a second and enjoy it, you will have a good time. It also got me again to like do some really cool history research about Elizabeth Bathory and that entire saga of Hungarian life that I didn't know about. Actors were honestly sometimes great, sometimes not. Script didn't help them, but that's okay. It was, I don't know, it's something that every single time I see it, I feel so much joy. And I will say also, Stephen, you know our friend Tatiana.
Mhm.
When we first became friends, I asked her if she saw this movie, and she said, "Yes, it's my favorite movie." And I said, "We are now friends forever."
Oh, well,
Um,
that's a reason why she's a friend of the show and a future guest.
Yes. There like it's a weird bonding moment if you know someone who's seen it. It's like watching Clone High in the day.
Right.
You're like,
yeah.
have you seen Clone High? Yes. Did you love it? Yes. And now we're best friends. Um, I would rate it a very biased 10 out of 10. With me having a D&D character myself named after her in my vampire story and some scissors to cut the thread at the end of it. It's good. It's a good time.
Oh, fantastic. Do you have a rating for it?
Yeah, 10 out of 10. It's biased. 10 out of 10.
Right.
I love it. Everybody should see this movie. I don't care if you hate it or you love it. You watch it.
You
That's
watch it. You watch it. Leon in the chat says, I was here for like 15 minutes or 3 hours, and somehow of 3 hours, and y'all have made me want to watch the movie.
It's good. It's fun.
But Steven, do you have to have gone to a nude beach to understand it? That's a joke from
You know
their
what? I
episode a
think,
couple weeks ago.
yeah, I think if I had gone to a nude beach while watching this, or just before or after,
It'd be too warm. This
I'd
is a fall winter movie. You can't watch it in the summer.
yeah, I'd be embarrassed of my wiener,
All right.
my shrinky dink.
Thank you, Cass.
Okay,
and
Boulder.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Steven. Shrinky Wink or whatever.
The death
Me. To answer Leon's question where my merch sweater's at, it's cold winter now. Maybe I'll wear it next week. As far as my, final thoughts go, I don't want to be too harsh because this movie is a somewhat competent horror, but the shoehorned video game stuff makes me a little bit crazy. I guess not shoehorned. The video game backdrop makes me a little crazy. They could have done something different and it would have been the same movie and maybe more effective. It just makes me cringe when people talk about video game concepts like with this weird wooden, like it's a little bit better now when they do it, but in 2006, like we were talking about, like video games were very much just like video games for kids and for losers, even still in 2006.
Or the opposite is like they're hardcore into it, and someone's being like, "Hey, hit A! No,
Yeah.
grenade!"
Yeah.
Like, shut up. Yeah.
Could have been the whole movie, so
Yeah,
thank God we
that's
didn't have
true,
that.
Absolutely. It's the people writing it too that it mostly falls on, right? So some like old 45-year-olds writing a video game movie. I think that's what happened here. The actors just don't deliver the lines referencing video game stuff in a believable way. Actually, none of the dialogue is delivered in a believable way because it's some of the worst I've ever heard. The story was kind of hard to follow at points too. I know it's more about the kills and being a teen horror slasher romp, but man, do they go out of their way to throw stuff in that is unnecessary. The old lady scene, the author scene, which it's great that I found out was just spiced.
Completely cut
Yeah, it was
from the theatrical release.
I might like the tighter theatrical cut because
You can borrow my DVD if you want.
I would love to watch that.
Yeah.
I would like to rewatch this in higher resolution because some elements were cool, but in like the 720, it had to have been 480p or whatever. The copy that me and Steve watched, it looked blurry and muddy a lot of the time. So unfortunately, I give this movie a 2 out of 5. I do appreciate it
It's
more.
fine, but I will say a seance at the end of this, and it might come to haunt
You're
me.
like, "Ade, do it."
And bring out my candles and my crystals, and I'm doing my
Give
thing.
me the power. I beg
Listen,
you.
I told you on the weekend, Cass, that I was gonna be a little bit untoward about it. So
That's okay. I love that.
we got a lot out of it, though. We talked about this fucking movie for 3 hours again.
Again, I am the curse. I did it.
Jimmy, I will say Jimmy Simpson understood the assignment, and I sentenced this movie to play Stay Alive. Whatever you think that means.
Could this video game survive its own concept if it played?
Maybe in Stay Alive 2 we'll get it.
I don't know. I think it was good. I would think it was good in that if the three of us watched this together like we've done for all our other movies, I might have given this a 3. So
I believe that.
You know what I mean?
Next time.
With that,
Silent Hill.
Yeah, when we cover Silent Hill, but that's like a better movie.
My favorite moment of all of horror.
I don't really think it is a better movie, but I mean,
it's not. But that rippy scene.
I think it's about the same.
So with that, we can actually successfully enter 2024 finally. I think that next week.
Oh my God. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, everybody in the future.
Oh, wow, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Cass,
wow, we did it.
We talked about this movie so long, it's actually 2024 now. So
sorry.
Wait, according to my phone, it's 2025. We've been talking about this movie for a whole year.
Stay Alive 3. The time code. Cass, before we get out of here, do you have anything that you want to plug this week?
This is actually, you know what's really funny about being an actor and being in any kind of filming thing? It takes a long time to make it a thing. So I have some things that are still on the horizon. I'll let you know.
All right. Well,
they're fully edited, and that's really cool. And I don't know when they're going to all the festivals.
Okay. Well, look out for that. I'm sure you'll be...
wait. One thing.
Yep.
If you hashtag Spring is Passing on Instagram, you will find some really cool trailers for some stuff that's coming up. So,
there you go.
Spring is Passing.
Hashtag Spring is Passing. I look forward to seeing a thing that I know about. So hopefully the next time you're on, you'll be able to talk about that a little bit more in depth. I would like to just say that thank you for a great year. The holiday card that you can find online has all the guests that have been on throughout the year. Some people have been on 5 times in a single calendar year. So looking at you, Cass.
Is it me?
It is
it's
you. I think it's
Thanks.
you. And I think you might be the only one at the like now.
I mean, I'm still technically a guest. I just don't
You just
leave.
never left. I need you to get out of that mindset because I need you now more than ever, buddy. 100 episodes of audio are now up in audio form on any, Apple and Spotify specifically. You can find us on all social media. If you just look up, hey, did you see this one? We're everywhere. I try to spread myself as thin as humanly possible to just get those sweet, sweet likes for that sweet, sweet dopamine. My mouth is actually watering. Check this out on TikTok because in the new year, I'm going to start putting up TikToks of clips of the show as well.
I can help you with the algorithm.
I would love for that. Well, let's have a conversation about that because I need some assistance.
I got you.
And then I'm also going to do reels and shorts on YouTube as well. So they'll probably all go up at the same time. And with that, thank you, Noel, for popping in when you could tonight. And I guess that just leaves one question that needs to be asked. Cass, could you ask the very, 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 I'm stalling, very, very special question that we ask each and every week?
I don't think I've ever, on the 5 times I've been here, gotten it right. But hey, did you see this one? Nailed it.
Nailed it. Out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I can't wait to shed all my clothes off and slice open a virgin and bathe in some blood.
Listen, it keeps you young.